Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. It's time for another Tech Talk, which is kind of, I suppose, the weekly podcast where we go through all of the comments on the previous one with people's thoughts, discussions, questions, all that stuff, and kind of just have some conversations around what's being chatted about. It's been an insane time in War Thunder. There's just tons going on. Right now, we're near the end of the TOG event and the submarine event. And also, we have, of course, the page of history. There were three other separate events which were going on this weekend, and then the battle pass. It's just, whew. Also the Twitch drops as well, like for the esports stuff. Like they really have just decided, all right, clang bang wallop, let's get it going. So it's kind of crazy, and should be pretty fun at the end of the day. Let's have a look at the stuff. Last time, good old Karam-chan did the pinned comments, so well done. Good stuff. As I said, if people do the pinned comments, you can just do them and then like ping me on the Discord, and then I'll literally just, we'll sort out some games for you or some other things depending on what you want, just to kind of say thank you, because I know it takes a lot of effort, and it's also very nice from, the very nice to do for the general community. So thank you for that, everybody who has done it in the past and also in the future. So then we have the first one, which is from Casual Entertainment 108. A solution on the one spawn and leaving problem could be offering incentives. An example is to offer an increasing repair discount for each tank you bring in, following the first that would apply to that tank specifically, incentivizing people to bring the most expensive tank in last to benefit from a sizable repair discount. You could also offer increased rewards for coin and experience for each tank you bring in after the first, rewarding good performance from spawning at a suboptimal position. They already do all of these things, they just do it the opposite to the way that you think about it. So instead of doing it in a way where they give you, it's instead of it being like retroactive, it's actually proactive. That's why they added in, if you have a look here, the repair costs depending on lifetime thing. So the longer that you last, the larger your repair cost. That means the shorter you last, the lower your repair cost too, right? So that's pretty much what you're talking about. The increased rewards thing also already exists. One of the big changes they actually did over the last like 3, 4, or 5 years was they gave out more rewards for being in matches longer. So let's say you did like, I don't know, 6 actions. Let's say you got 6 kills in the exact same way in 2 minutes. Compared to doing it in 15 minutes, you would get way more RP and SL for doing it in the 15 minutes than you would the 2 minutes, because they added like lifetime in as a huge factor for this to try and promote people lasting longer instead of people just kind of appearing, doing a bunch of stuff, and then dying, because of course bots and scripts and all this were affecting this stuff. So they've already done everything that you've asked. It's just the issue is, as I found out many years ago, people don't really read that stuff on what they do. And what ends up happening instead is they have to clarify the stuff over and over and over again, and then you'll just have people who straight up lie to your face and tell them that they've never done anything or this stuff doesn't exist, and it does. You can see videos of mine going back 4 or 5 years ago where they started doing these changes, and the reason they started doing these changes was to try and stop scripting. Like, I know it sounds odd, but that's why we got a lot of the reward changes in previous years. It was all trying to make it more based around people like lasting longer and also doing the same or more amount of actions over a longer period of time, which benefits a standard person instead of benefiting somebody running a script who's just like, let's say, bombing a base and then dying. So all of this already exists. They could maybe increase it, they could maybe improve it, they could bring in more, but they're already doing this stuff, and that's just kind of how this has all gone in the past, you know. It's just how it is. Here you go. There you go, Babstar, and I'll post it for you so you can see it. So yeah, they could definitely go harder, but they've already done everything that's being asked. And once again, as I said, the biggest issue with these things is the fact that in a lot of cases at higher echelons, once people are in the power positions, you can't dig them out. I've been playing a lot of 9.3, 9.7. I've been playing a lot of 10.0 recently, just to try and help understand what people are going through, because right now those are there's a lot of wolf packs running around, there's a lot of XM1s running around, there's a lot of these things running around, and I thought, hey, like I can use this situation to try and see what's going on, and you can see here what's going on. Like you just have a ton of people. Like this guy's a level 100, okay? So level 100, CV90 105, 1 death lost. Level 82, 1 death lost, right? These are not new players, alright? This guy, 1 death lost, level 57. Once again, not a new player. Like, he has 3 days in the game, and he's only played Germany, the USSR, and Sweden. Like, you know, none of these guys are, like, new players. But they're all doing this thing, right? Where they're just... Some of them aren't even, like, spawning in on certain maps. It's just the fact that in a lot of situations, especially now that they've streamlined a lot of the maps, you now have a situation where if you lose that initial engagement, you just get torched because the people just go into the power positions and you just die. Like, have a look at this, right? It's the same in this. This game was over at the 3-minute mark. And it's just because of mobility of things, and also this idea that you have to constantly cramp everything together. You can't, at the end of the day, force people to spawn, especially when they're in pretty negative positions. And that's what's happening. So, yeah, not too fun. Right, there we go. And also with KA50s existing at 11.0. Jesus. I saw somebody saying the K50 was fine the other day because it doesn't get thermals and they added clouds. Yeah, alright. God damn it. But yeah, but that's just how it is, you know. Like it's an unfortunate thing, and you have to somehow try and make it better. And I don't know how you do that. I think it probably comes down to map design at the end of the day, and how you set that up. Maybe there's other ways of doing it. Like, I'm sure that there is. I cannot lock onto this guy. There you go. That's weird. Nice. The next one is from Elias. And it says, I love the submarine gameplay. I had one game where I was playing a cat and mouse game with multiple Fletchers, surfacing 7 meters to fire torpedoes at the convoy, and then crash diving to 58 to avoid the depth charges, running at a quarter speed to avoid showing up on sonar. Yeah, it can be quite fun, like trying to dodge them. I had a game yesterday, which was quite funny, because I ended up... Why is my thing doing this? Oh, it's an IRCM in it. That shouldn't really affect this, though. Oh, it's not even an IRCM. It's just not tracking. But yeah, the interesting thing about it is I had a game yesterday. Wait, why? Right, okay. So can someone explain to me why I cannot lock onto these guys? Like, what's going on with this? But the interesting thing, at least for me, in terms of all this stuff, and in terms with like the submarine gameplay, is I understand why people will enjoy it, and I'm happy that people can enjoy it. I'm looking forward to personally seeing it in the actual game now, because I'm starting to envision how maybe it could work. But I need to see it where it's not just submarines versus destroyers, because you're basically, it's like lambs to slaughter, right? Like the idea of like going to lower depths to be able to dodge the depth charges, that works until people know how to actually set depth charge timers, right? And that's something that I've been doing, right? Like I've been doing the depth charge timer stuff, and it's been working a treat. Um, and and once people understand that, same with like the mines, right? Like where they sit on the water, you can just annihilate anything. Well, that was rude. So yeah, it's just I like the test. I think they should do more tests like that. I just wish they had done it in an environment which wasn't so heavily one side compared to the other. And that's just more of a personal thing. I'm hoping that in the future. Oh wait, what? Oh no, I already did it. Okay. I'm hoping in the future that that isn't as bad. And I'm sure it won't be. I'm also just wondering what mechanics they're gonna add to submarines. Like, will they get the homing torpedoes? I think that would be really awesome. What are they gonna add to them to make them a little bit more sneaky? They're obviously gonna extend their torpedo range because 2 kilometer torpedo range is disgraceful. Like it's really poor, but. There is a bunch of other things they could do. I also think the sonar thing needs a bit of work. As I said earlier, like I don't like it how they pop up on the tactical map for planes. I also understand that, in a normal battle it won't be as egregious, but you also have much larger bombs than the ones used on the Catalina. So if people want to go after them, it's going to be a little bit more rough. So we'll have to see, what kind of goes on with it. But yeah, it's a new step in naval. As a person who, I've enjoyed naval over the years, in different ways, and just kind of relaxed with it, and see it more as kind of like a passive game mode. It'll be interesting to see now how that stuff fits in. I think what's way more scarier than submarines, because submarines is like a boom or bust thing. It's very similar to helicopters in that way, and that's why it kind of worries me. But the other one is aircraft carriers. Like the fact that they're starting to put in controls for aircraft carriers, it's like, are we really going down this road? Do you really want to do this? Is this what you want to do? Do you want to somehow put in these aircraft carriers in standard battles? Because there's no way that works. There's absolutely no way that you could fit that in unless you do something very drastic with it. So that one is a bit interesting to me, like how they're gonna set that one up. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. Maybe it'll be more of a PVE thing or a controlled PvP thing. Anything is possible with that. At the end of the day, it just seems weird. The way that they had it like set up, right? Hey, Lafouche, nice to see you, man. Hopefully you're doing good. What did they add to the Mauler? Let's see. Oh, the AP 1600. Nice. Okay, we have something to grind. Let's have a look at the next thing. So this is from Hayden Dill. Whoop. Hello, Tech. Hi. Hopefully you're doing good. I recently test drove the Battle Pass vehicle, the Strike Master Mark 88, and I saw that it has rifle caliber gun pods. It made me wonder if they have always been there. I wish there was a website page where Gaijin would post all of their It's Fixed and devlog updates changes in a nice compiled list, or does this already exist? I should pay attention more, or is Gaijin adding stuff in-game that they're not mentioning besides the devlog changes you talked about in that video? Yes, they modify stuff constantly before it comes out. Hey Splendor Yum Yum, nice to see you. Like for example, think about the TOG, right? The TOG got like 3 massive changes over 3 days before it was added to the game, and none of it was talked about in the devlog. And also, they said it had the wrong gun the first time they actually talked about it. I honestly think the reason why they didn't do a devlog as early on in the TOG is because it just wasn't finished, which is why it went through so many different iterations. The simple fact is, it would be nice, like if you have a look at the War Thunder wiki, they actually have like a area where it shows you all of the edits that have happened to the wiki. It would be nice if devlogs had to put in asterisks, or you obviously have like the change logs, which they do, but the change logs a lot of the time just straight up miss out a lot of the changes that they make to the game, because a lot of them are not seen as decent. Data mines are a way to go, people like Oshida, people like, of course, you know, the team around that stuff. People like Zabi, for example, or Chabby, is a person to go to too. But they're not obviously official Gaijin people. They're people who do a lot of work for the community, which is, you know, very positive. I just wish for them the financial setup was there, but it's not really something that works, unfortunately. The so the answer is no. There isn't an official place. Sometimes they like pin a comment. Sometimes they like make a forum post about it. But a lot of the times they just don't, and it just sucks. Which is why for me, I try my best to try and cover all of that stuff, so I can kind of like put it into one place, and try my best to help people understand what's kind of going on with it. Because as you said, it's a bit of a pain, right? Like trying to go through everything. Morning, Red Eye. Nice to see you. I'm just gonna fix my chair right now. Sick of it squeaking. There we go. Much better. So yeah, it sucks is probably the best way of putting it. But the only thing I can do from a personal point of view is try and put it all in one place, which is what I try and do on the YouTube channel. And it's not that easy to do because it means that you have to look at a bunch of places at once. One of the videos I want to do, and I've just been putting off for ages, is like a War Thunder resources video. So like, where do I go to see what is happening, or where do I go to like find out what's going on? And I hope from like making a video like that, it means that people can use the resources more so they can see what's happening. Because obviously you have like the more kind of public places. So for example, you have like the Reddit, right, where people will post stuff on the Reddit, and you know, it'll get upvoted, and sometimes stuff will get pinned if it's news and things. But there's a lot of things that just don't get talked about on Reddit because Reddit is very Americentric. And if you don't see it as Americentric, that's fine. It's very westernized then, if you want to see it like that, right? Like, there is not a lot of people who use that Reddit who are, let's say, from China, for example, or from even like Russia and places like that, because they have their own area which they generally talk to each other about. And then also, let's say it's just something that people don't, you know, like as much as others, or let's say there's like multiple news items on the same day. Like, let's say if you have a look at like the submarine event, for example, on Reddit, it hardly got any upvotes, right? But if you have a look at like the TOG event or whatever, like it's pretty much the only thing that's being talked about. So all of the other things that are going on in the game, such as the 3 events that they released on Friday, just don't get any time because, you know, it's not the zeitgeist at the moment. So it's a place where you can get information, but a lot of the time it's just at the whim of whoever controls it. And as we've said, when it comes to social media right now, a lot of areas are actually kind of closing off and become very factional. So you have like a specific community that hands out in a specific place and they don't go anywhere else. Like, you're seeing it a lot with Discords right now. So you have to be at least knowing these different people from these different areas and, you know, moving around them. Otherwise it's impossible to find out what's going on. It's so annoying. Nice to see you, Bakatin. Because it means there isn't like a place where you can get all of the information, which is why for me I try my best to be that place, because it just doesn't exist. And the only issue with doing something like that is if you do it from a standpoint where you want it to be financially viable, it just isn't, because you put in a ton of time into things which people don't necessarily care about as much as other things. So you just kind of hamstring yourself if you actually want to do it for financial gain, which is why nobody else does it. It's why people like the data miners, people like, you know, people like that community, and then also people who do like posts in different areas talking about specific things or do like bug reporting are so valuable because of the fact that it is pretty much like a a hobby which you have to dedicate so much time to, when if you think about it, they could just be dedicating so much time to something else and it being much more beneficial to them in a more like economical way. So yeah, it's one of those things that's super important and underappreciated from the general community standpoint. But hopefully Gaijin can get better when it comes to like their dev changes, or just make sure to get it right the first time, because it's something that happened in Enlisted a lot, and I noticed it over the last 2 years in Enlisted, and it pissed me off to no end, where the dev blog would just say something that was a lie. And then a community manager came out, usually a guy called Keo Fox, who is I believe, a Russian guy, who his English is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. And because they didn't have any other community managers in Enlisted, right? He would be the one that people would go to ask questions about what the devlog said, because it just wasn't clear on what it said. And then he would say something that was so brain numbingly ridiculous that there is no way that was the case, right? But people believed it because he was an authority figure. And then, like, a few days later, when the opposite would happen, because this is exactly what happened during the Battle of Stalingrad stuff, by the way. Like, when they added the Battle of Stalingrad stuff and the whole, like, pay-to-win thing happened, which, you know, it was just fully pay-to-win, still is pay-to-win until they remove it, right? Which they are doing. The fact was, they just straight up lied about how that was going to work. Because first of all, it went through a bunch of different iterations. Second of all, people were just straight up lied to by, as I said, community managers. And then when the stuff came out, everyone was like, wait, what? This is not what we were told. And it happened multiple times in Enlisted. And it's happening now in War Thunder. And there's a lot of cross-pollination between those two games, unfortunately, in that regard, where they're run by pretty much the same people. But usually War Thunder was pretty good about like doing this, right? But over the last like 6 months, they've been really, really poor at it. So there needs to be one or two things. Either, as I said, just make sure it's correct when it starts, right? Which is fine. Like that's obviously good. Or if you make corrections, just put it at the bottom of the article. Don't just stealth remove stuff. Because as I said, like with the HMS Archer, right? Or the gay Archer, right? They, even in the photos of the devlog, the gun is still there, even though they removed it from the vehicle. In the TOG announcement, it said it had a 17-pounder. They changed that after like 4 hours. The MH60L Blackhawk, when they said it was supposed to be in the Israeli tech tree. Just put a little asterisk at the bottom and or a pinned comment or something and just say, hey, so sorry, update and clarification. Didn't mean this. Plans changed. This is what we're doing. Nobody would be annoyed. Nobody would be aggressive or anything. It's fine if people get stuff wrong. Like everybody just goes, okay, that's fine, and then move on. But unfortunately, like, it's just not happening. So yeah, hopefully they get better at it. There's two things I'd like to see next year from Gaijin. The first one is updates and clarifications in very physical forms. So basically saying exactly what it is. But the other thing I would like is for them to stop hyper reacting to what is going on with my vehicle? Why are we not going straight here? Eh? Am I missing a bomb? Why is my vehicle unbalanced? I would like them to stop hyper reacting to things happening. So when it comes to it's just when it comes to things happening on the internet, they just don't have to hyper react to it. Okay, maybe I'm not missing a bomb. Why am I not? Okay, it's just not going in a straight line. Thank you for the subscription, dog. Thank you for continuing to support the channel. It's very much appreciated. Thank you very much, man. Nice to see you, Sneaky. Hopefully you're doing good. And you, dog, too. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my plane, but it doesn't want to be straight. The night game issue is one to talk about in your opinion. What's the issue with night battles? Well, the two issues with night battles is I don't know how many people actually know you have to turn them on, and then secondly, it's the fact that you may actually find out that hardly anybody actually enjoyed night battles, and this is the way to talk about it, right? Well, the fact you haven't got any, as I said, it might be it's one or two things. One, people don't know they exist. Two is people don't like them, and if we're honest, it's probably a mixture of both. You just want the rewards? Yeah, so would I, but we might have to wait a little bit for that. Let's see. So then we have a... oh, no, sorry. We have a Where With You, Varbega. I missed that one. So Away With You, Varbega says, hello, Tech. Hello! Hopefully you're doing good. I'm glad to hear my game sense is still good when it comes to the maps. I can guess that Gaijin thought Nova was balanced for the same reason maps are called broken, which is the players. Yeah, probably. Hope you enjoy the Mighty Tog. Can't wait to get my hands on it. Should be fun. I preferred it in its 4-7 setup instead of its 5-3-1, but it still should be fine. It's just not as good as it used to be. You know? Like, I don't know why for me, would I run it in my 5-3 lineup now? Because I usually only bring like 3 vehicles, right? But does it beat out the Challenger? Does it beat out the Comet? Not really. What about the Bosbach? No. Okay then. Well, I mean the way I see the vehicle is probably like this, right? So the time where I would use the TOG if I was like playing properly instead of just memeing, it would be in those periods where I'm in a down tier and it's on a close quarters map, right? And I don't think I'd run the sponsons. So now it's become more of a situational vehicle where before it could have just been a banger. But I'm really glad that people are enjoying it. You know, it's a long time coming and it's been super cool the last few years. That has been the best thing for me the last few years is we're just seeing a lot of crowd favorites. Like maybe not vehicles that, you know, a ton of people will play a lot or anything like that, but vehicles that you would class as deserve to be in the game, which I know is like a really weird way of saying it. But when you think about like the B-26, you know, the Elephant, stuff like this, even stuff like the early Churchill, or the Tog, or the Sturmtiger, you know, things which are like kind of iconic vehicles that that were just missing for the longest time. And there still are some. There still are some out there. You know, stuff such as the Stug 4, for example. You know, that one was on the initial release list for Germany. It just never came. The Giraffe for the Israelis. You know, a classic banger. Even things like some of the earlier Soviet vehicles. You know, like that BT with the funny cone on it. You know, things like that are still around and would be pretty fun to enjoy. Even like that. What was that one? The there was like that Swedish one where you could switch between wheels and tracks, like that one as well, or even the Bob Semple. Like what they've done with the TOG, by the way, if you didn't notice, is something that they've done in the past with a lot of vehicles. But now it's kind of very obvious. So this is one of the first times they've done it with a ground vehicle, compared to other vehicles, right? So what they did with the good old, what they did with the TOG is they added it in and added a version of it, which is of course the GWP, which was one of its proposed variants, right? So not actually the variant it had in real life. So technically, stuff like the Bob Semple now, or other vehicles like that, could now get into the game. Because there technically was a proposed variant with a 37, which never got built. So, you never know. Bobby might turn up. Bobby might be here. Funny to think about, right? So then we have Nuki Avenger. Hi, TEC. Hello. I recently maxed crews for a slot 75, 150, 100. It's quite underwhelming. With the addition of cross-tree grind with helicopters, do you think it would be a good idea to also transfer and crew points to another slot once you're done with one? You've maxed out all on one crew? Why? Why would you not spread that out? That seems a bit weird. But the interesting thing is I think it takes so long to be able to get to that in the first place that I don't think it should even really be a consideration, right? Like for me, over the last year, like the last few months, I have now finally, after all this time, got my first level 150 crewing ground. I actually now have two for my 2 Soviet crews. Everything else, as you can see, is pretty close, and I don't really use crew points that often, but maybe I should. But yeah, that's how long of a slog it's taken to be able to get 150. It's just kind of nuts. So, have they changed this map? Do you think they got rid of the train? I think they might have got rid of the train. Very sad. So for me, I feel like setting stuff up for that would basically mean that it would benefit some people, but also the vast majority of people who play the game are not going to, like, it's just not gonna really affect them. The only thing I suppose what you could do is you could min-max. So you could, like, play with, like, 3 or 4 or 5 crews in our arcade, and then you could funnel all the points into one crew to get it, like, super quick, and then go from there. So maybe you could do something like that. But, I mean, I don't see a negative, really, for doing it, but I just don't see how many people it would affect. So I'm not against the idea. Like, the idea seems fine. It just, for me, it seems like I would prefer to focus on stuff which affects others. And unfortunately, they would have to put in some kind of financial component to it. So imagine if it was like this one up here. So the free XP one. Free. What if it cost money to transfer over the crew, but it was half the cost of spending the GE to just G the crew? Like, would that be something that would be okay? Like, would people be okay with that? Would they not? I don't know. But at least that would be something that you'd have to do, right? Because you'd have to change up the way it goes. I'm just gonna check if the trains are still here. They've changed this map, but yeah, I mean, I'm not against it. I also wouldn't advise people to do that. Like, as I said, like, grind everything on one crew. I would advise to spread them. It's always good to spread them. There's no train anymore. This is so sad. Why did they get rid of the train? I can't believe this. I'm gonna sue for defamation. New to War Thunder, does anybody ever land? Yeah, we landed in the last game. Right, well, that sucks. Double crew skill weekends? Well, the issue is for this guy is he's maxed out his crew, so crew skill weekends wouldn't matter. What train? There used to be a train on this map right here. It was like 30 things. They've changed the map though, so it's not there anymore. Sad. Oh well. Well, this map has just become functionally exactly the same as all the other ones. Well, a good change, I suppose. It's a little more southwest. I know where the train is. It's not there. So we have Carl Marion. Hey Tech, hello. Hope the gym's treating you well. I've been playing War Thunder since 2013, but I'm noticing that the game has never really been shown. What we just flew right over it. It's not there on that version. It might be there on a different version. But I'm noticing that the game has never really been shown at any awards, despite accolades like Guinness World Records. Even with growing player counts yearly, what are your thoughts on this? Is the game missing something that will get it the notoriety it deserves? Yeah, it's missing basically paying off judges or being part of more Western media. So that's pretty much it. When you think about the games that are always put forward for these things, especially now they do at all the Game Awards shows, they do a it's called like best longevity game or something, which is it's pretty much for the games which are service based, so like War Thunder. And the simple fact is, War Thunder hammers so many of them out of the thing. But if you actually think about War Thunder, it's never in Western media, which is where all of these game awards happen. They happen in either Western magazines or they happen on, well, think about the ones on Twitch, right? The big game awards show. It's all from America. It's very Americentric, right? So of course, Gaijin, which is an Eastern company, obviously run by some Russians and then has, offices in areas of the world that aren't, influencing those areas. And also they don't pay ridiculous amounts of advertisement in, the standard ways that people do. Instead, they kind of like advertise in different ways. They're not going to get the recognition that they deserve. And to be honest, it kind of sucks because, you want people to get the accolades that they deserve. The game is bigger than a lot of other games that are ever mentioned in those things. It also has a bit of a fundamental problem. And this is something that used to happen to Counter Strike a lot too. It's a game about war. And if you have a look at the vast majority of games journalists or vast majority of judges on these things, they're usually from parts of society which are technically anti-war, but it's more anti the what they deem as the bad person to be at war, if that makes sense. So a lot of them are pro-war, which I feel like people have found out over the last few months. With it's just they just want one side to be winning compared to the other. So when the other side is in the position of winning, they don't like it as much, right? but the fact is, the standard thing is people don't like war, right? And the game is based around war, and it's based around fighting. One of the more interesting stories for me when it came to Counter Strike is Counter Strike. They wanted to put it on American television. Now, they actually did put it on with a thing called E-League, and it was actually pretty successful. They did the Boston Major, they did a bunch of different stuff, they did a bunch of games, and it worked pretty well, right? But before then, they had this thing called CGS. Now, CGS happened, well, it wasn't Counter-Strike Go, it was the one before Counter-Strike. Like I think it was CS Source or just like CS, right? And what they did is they wanted to once again make it a product which was designed for TV. And what ended up happening is they fundamentally changed a lot of the things that made it what it was. So they changed the amount of rounds that were there. They also didn't want terrorists versus counter-terrorists because terrorism is a very bad word and you can't say that. So what ended up happening is they were thinking about, oh, well, what about red versus blue team? Or what about, if it was just like, left versus right? And what about if you don't plant a bomb? What if you do something else? because obviously planting a bomb is bad. For some reason, shooting people in the head was fine, but yeah, the bomb planting, no, 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 no. So it's just like a weird thing that happens when it comes to these things. So it just is how it is, right? The Call of Duty is all about war, yeah, but it's also made by a Western developer, and also at the same time pays a massive amount in advertisement to a lot of these different places, right? And it's also not about war, it's about shooting people. I know that sounds odd, but it isn't really about war, right? It's about the what's the word? It's about shooty shooty bang bang um between people, which isn't necessarily war. I know it sounds weird, but like one day I'll like go through it about like the difference between them, right? Whereas War Thunder is vehicles, so um, it's a lot less personal. The other thing about it, which is also weird, uh, when it comes to War Thunder, is the name. Like it's literally called War Thunder. Where Call of Duty, the name is more, well, you are being called to duty. And I know it sounds really, really dumb, but that's literally how it is. The other thing is social media. So I know like War Thunder, if you're in the sphere of War Thunder, like War Thunder seems pretty big. You've got a YouTuber who has like 1 million subscribers. You have a bunch of others who are in like a few hundred Ks. You have obviously the Reddit platform. You have VK. You have the Chinese Bilibili. You have all of these things which seem pretty big. Now compare it to like Fortnite creators or Call of Duty creators. Like how big is, like, if you compare Fly to like the big Call of Duty guys. So Tim the Tatman, right? Like Tim the Tatman, I feel like he was a big streamer on Twitch. I haven't watched like Call of Duty stuff for a while. Nice to see you, Naughty Ewok. We're just doing the tech talk, but everything's good. Hopefully you're doing well. But like Tim the Tatman is probably still big, right? So let's see. Tim the Tatman, who has like moved around different games. He has 5 million subscribers. 5 million. And now he's back to playing Fortnite, right? What's that guy? Ali A? Ali A, he started off as a Call of Duty guy, and now he's doing Fortnite mainly. 18.8 million subscribers. And then on his second channel, 17.2 million subscribers. So these people like dwarf War Thunder. Right? It's like it's nuts when you think about it. And they're not even the biggest guys. Just think about that, right? It's crazy how big these guys are. And that's just individuals. Like that's not brands, that's not, how much money is coming in or anything. So it's just the fact that you have a lot more of a social media presence for stuff like Call of Duty and for like stuff like Apex. And also at the same time, you have all those other factors. And one thing that, we don't like talking about a lot, but it is very, very true. The general audience for War Thunder is longer or larger. Why? Sorry, I completely screwed up that sentence. The general audience for War Thunder's age is a lot higher than the standard age for all of these other games. Like if you have a look at old PowerPoints and stuff like that, right? If you have a look at old PowerPoints, what you'll find is the age that they believed their target market was at, and they were correct. This was during the early stages of War Thunder, was 35. That was who they were targeting. Middle-aged people who didn't have a ton of time on their hands, but also had some money. They had expendable income, but not time. So that's why, if you don't know, whenever they make decisions around like research and things, it's always about, right? Always about arcade. Because the vast majority of people play arcade. And they're all like boomers. The people who you see representing the community online are not representative of the vast majority of people playing the game. Right? So you have this massive set of people all over the place. And nowadays, you know, I would actually say the younger generation has got more involved in War Thunder. And you do meet a lot more people who are younger compared to before. But what you don't really get a lot in War Thunder is like the 13, 14, 15-year-olds. You know, the ones who like constantly post on TikTok and Instagram and all those things, right? Like it's one of those things which has just been really weird over the years to try and get through people's heads that what you see on social media for War Thunder is actually not like real. And I don't mean in the sense of like people highlighting stuff, people clipping stuff, you know, anything like that. I mean the actual like content that you see is not the content that people want who play the standard game of War Thunder, because they don't play or they don't watch social media. They just play the game. And it's really hard to get through people's heads that. I've been trying for years, but I just get called stupid because for some reason people take it as an offensive thing when it's just not. It's just how demographics work. So you have a bunch of people who play the game and just play the game and don't really talk about it too much. And you just, you know, they just exist. Whereas, you know, the games which usually get hyped up every year and the ones which win the awards are the ones that a ton of people are talking about, and you know they're the popular ones because award shows have incentives to give the popular games awards, so people go, hey, I play that, that's cool, look, it's me, I won, isn't that awesome? So there's this whole thing about the award shows where they're never actually for the best things or the things that deserve it the most. They're always just about things which are, you know, important at the time to whatever thing is going on. I still enjoy them because it's cool to see them, right? But yeah, I bet you any money like Cyberpunk wins stuff this year. Any money. Even though it needed however many years to be in even like a stable state. Bet you any money. Same with like Apex Legends and everything like this. Because No Man's Sky won a bunch of awards when it actually started working. But it also won awards before it even existed, so... But yeah, so it's just about media, like, and all of that stuff. Think about the sites which do interviews for War Thunder. Most of them are small European game magazines. They're not the big hitters, like IGN or places like that. You might get, like, a news article on things, but that's about it. At the end of the day. Like, War Thunder should be every year a shoe-in for the as I said, there's a category now that they all do, which is like best longevity or like best overall game like of the years. War Thunder should easily always be in that category, because when you look at the ones which are in it, like Destiny, which by the way has fallen apart over the last few years, Apex Legends, which has had the same issues, Rainbow Six Siege, which has once again also fallen apart, and even stuff like League of Legends, which has its issues. Yeah, Labor of Love is the one. Labor of Love is the one which is there. But yeah, there's no sound in your YouTube vid. Which one? Which YouTube vid? There should be sound. But yeah. It's just kind of nuts how it all works. But it's just sad at the end of the day. But then you have to come up with like, then you have to realize, is it a huge issue? Not really. Like, if it's wrong or if it's right, who cares? As long as we enjoy it, like, nothing matters. There should be sound. Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to have a look at another Yeah, this sound. But which one doesn't have sound? What about the event? Which one? I don't think, do you mean like the worst event or whatever that I did today? I'm pretty sure there was sound in that one. The skill bonuses I've heard are helping a lot of people out. Are you really missing me? Come on, bro.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. I took a trip down memory.
Yep, there's definitely sound, so never mind. I feel like if there was issues, I would have heard a lot more about it. Is this my favorite vehicle? No. No, this is just the most efficient for what I'm doing. Right. So I'll give you a tip if you ever play the Salamander. Don't play the Salamander. There you go. There's your tip of the day. Otherwise you'll be outfought by a mauler who's taken damage. Couldn't just leave me be, could you? Alright. The Salamander is such a bad vehicle. Let's get on to the next question. Am I showing it? Yeah, there we go. So this is from Eston L. Driveldo. Hey Tech, hello. Kind of a simple question for you. Simply, what is your favorite super expensive, super rare machine? My personal favorite is the old H34 Premium, Event Helo for America. It has a straight-up mouse-guided bullpup with its full range of like 10k. It's like smiting one guy in particular. Have a great day with questions. Yeah, the H34 is fun. If I'm honest with you, it would be something like the Tandem Mai. Because even though I don't like use them, I think they're just really funky and fun. So there is the Tandem Mai is one which for some reason has been stuck in my head for ages. No idea why, but it's just one of those which I'm hoping that a lot of people kind of enjoy if it ever comes back. Same with like the Uhu. The fact that I have the Uhu in not just War Thunder but also Enlisted is pretty fun. So yeah, that's cool. I'd probably go Tandem Mai. I also have no idea how rare a lot of my vehicles are. Like I have no idea how you'd even like find that out. I'm guessing like old event vehicles would be super rare. The Cobra, that one's pretty cool. It's just a King Cobra or Aero Cobra with a skin. But yeah, I think that's quite nice. Lag 334 is another one which I think is really fun. Like it's an enjoyable play. Good evening, Ace. Nice to see you. But yeah, I can kind of show you some of them. Like the Tandem Mai, the reason I like it is just the way it looks. It just looks really funny. There you go, this one. It's got a little turret on the back, and yeah, it's like a stubby Levechkin with like a tri-tail with a turret. It's got 4 7.62s in the front. It's definitely business in the front, party in the back time, you know? Oh dear. Fun for all the family. Yeah. That one's always enjoyable. Nice to see a Venubi. The I-180S as well. The I-301 was a destroyer of worlds for the longest time. Still kind of is. But yeah, this one used to be like 1.7. Crazy good vehicle. But yeah, there's a ton of them that kind of stick out as fun and enjoyable. But yeah, the Cobra, or maybe like the P51A from the Thunder League event. That one was pretty good. But yeah, this one, the Cobra. We talked about how people got it today. But yeah, it's a pretty fun one. I just like the look of it, and it's pretty useful. It's quite nice. Yeah, the Chiha Kai is probably the rarest. Maybe the HE162, but I don't have that one. But yeah, so if you don't know the story of this one, so a lot of you probably don't know this exists. This is the Chiha Kai TD. And there was one stream It was for the Japanese side of War Thunder. It was run by War Thunder DMM, and they did like a tournament, which they did like a tournament on their channel, which was specifically for just like Japan stuff and also people from Japan. No idea why they did it, but they decided to do a Twitch drop Chiha Kai. It wasn't actually put anywhere. Like they didn't announce it anywhere. Um, and I can't remember how I found out about it. It was probably Dog or probably Freeman or something. But yeah, so the the event happened, and it was only like a 4 hour event, and you needed like 3 hours to be able to get the vehicle. And if you didn't claim it during the event, it just disappeared. And also, the event was supposed to be longer by a couple of hours, but they just cut the stream. They cut the stream randomly and just said, "Nah, we're done, thanks." Because it was so unprofessional. Like the whole thing was terrible. It was set up like by I don't even know a person who was just not should not have been setting up that stuff. So yeah, the amount of these that are actually in the wild is probably incredibly low. Um, and they should probably bring it back to so people can get access to it. But yeah, this one's kind of cool, but it's just a Chiha Kai with a Twitch skin. So yeah, very rare vehicle that one. The other ones as well, like things I like the early tier helicopters, so like the UH-1C XM, like these starter helis that they added, for different nations, which were quite funny. Like the Italian one, they added the Hungarian vehicle, which should have been a tell to people that they were gonna add Hungary to things, but c'est la vie. Like, just is how it is. The H-34 is fun though. The H-34 is the only event helicopter ever to exist. Don't know why, but it is how it is. So then we have Maxwell. Hello, Tech. Love the Tech Talks. Lovely to see you. Hopefully you're doing great. Well, the Strike Witches skins, if you actually got them, basically meant that you couldn't get access to anything else. Because you had to sign up to DMM to do it, so then you would lose a lot of other things. What's funny is there's actually Gaijin employees that I know who signed up to DMM for that stuff, because they're definitely not degenerates, and they got screwed because they couldn't use the store anymore. Yeah. Good old pedophilic tendencies. I would like to see what you'd have to say about this. How can you tell when someone is lazy when it comes to something like studying and not something else? I'm really trying to make it seem like I'm asking for myself. Right. Also, I wanted to use the T92, but the stock APCR put me away faster than the other time. I suffered through getting the HeatFS on the JPZ45 when it had stock APCR, but I don't want to do it again, at least for now. I mean, that's fair. Like, it isn't fun doing stock grinds. That's very true. The basic way that you work out if somebody is lazy or not is twofold. The first one is what their output is. So let's say if it comes to studying, if you are getting awful results, then part of it will be because you are being lazy. Not necessarily with the amount of time that you're putting in, but the amount of brain power that you're putting into that time to work out what is the most efficient way to use your time. Right? Like, you could study for like 20 hours a day and be doing it wrong. Right? So and the laziness comes from the fact that you are not using your brain to work out what you are doing wrong in that sentence. So that's the first one. The other part of it, when it comes to laziness or when it comes to how it's set up, is honestly the not just results, but also how the person approaches stuff. So once again, it's do they put in the time to be able to successfully set up something in the first place? Because a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to studying, it comes down to factors which are not actually sitting down and just studying. A lot of it comes down to preparation. A lot of it comes down to how you approach the material and getting in that like core foundation in the first place, whether you are example orientated, whether you are, just standardly book smart, or whether you have to kind of understand how things have to be applied in the real world and then you can be kind of useful. It's all down to those standard factors, right? So, which is why it's very important to try and set up stuff in the first place to kind of understand like what you're doing wrong or what you're doing right. The other thing is just lack of putting in time. Unfortunately for me, laziness is one of those factors where if it isn't changed over a period of time, I just get very aggravated with the individual. And usually I have to kind of put them in a box and then just move on with my life. Because as we've talked about many times, the upside of dealing with somebody who is very unmotivated, it casts like a shadow on everything around them, and it brings everybody else down to a level which is not optimal. And it is one of the worst things that you can feel, which is really annoying because it means that nobody else is reaching their potential and therefore this one person is screwing everybody else. Now, as you guys keep putting, the person who does this, at least in my life, is Freeman. And the reason why is the reason why I put up with it and haven't just basically left him to his own devices is because he will actually get stuff done. But it's just the fact that he worries a massive amount instead of just doing things. So it isn't that he isn't putting the time into doing stuff. It's the fact that he gets stuck in that headspace where a lot of people do, where instead of just doing the things they're supposed to do, they sit there and worry about are they actually like how to do it. So the way that you work out how to do stuff is through experimentation, is through being sat there and through trying to understand what you have to do to kind of, go forward with it. If you don't do experimentation, what instead will happen is you won't know if you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. A lot of people get stuck in this like headspace where they just worry about the thing that they're doing and whether it's right or not to do. Or you could just do it. And then once you do it, you work out whether you wanted to do it or are doing it the right way. And then you look at the conclusion or look at the results, and then you do something else if it didn't work. The problem that Freeman has is the worry part. And the good thing about the worry part is that can be fixed. At this point, though, after about 5 years, I'm not sure it can be fixed with him, which is why I am becoming a lot more increasingly distant towards ideas that he has or things that he wants to do, because it's doing my head in. And as I'm at a stage in my life where I actually have everything else pretty much sorted out now and have worked very hard to sort it out, and it should be a part of the life where stresses are based around more like family things like children and stuff like that, instead of around grown adults who are older than me. So yeah, the issue for me when you have a look at somebody like Freeman is the fact that he can definitely do stuff. He just, for some reason, worries about everything and then gets stuck in his own head, which he literally doesn't have to do because he has everything set up for him. It's very confusing, at least to me. So hopefully he can get it sorted out. Otherwise, as I said, I'm very close to just shutting down everything. But the main thing is, yeah, it's the how much potential does somebody have or something have? What are they able to change from potential to kinetic? If they are able to change the majority to kinetic from potential, then you're good. If not, then it's time to move on and try something else. Good evening, Laura Court. Nice to see you. Oh, we were one thing away. Right. So then we have 2200 call or cal. I feel the premiums are a lot to blame for the people running one vehicle lineups. Like, remember when the XM1 came, the T72 turns has a similar issue. The team got some decent kills in the start of the game, but eventually lose since they get outlasted. I mean, yeah, there might be a reason why people only spawn once, but also at the same time, as I said, I know people who run premium vehicles and they also have all the vehicles around them researched. They just don't want to run any of the other vehicles because they're trying to research a specific thing. So if you remove the premiums, people would just still do that with individual vehicles in the tech tree. Right? They would just do it with talismans with individual vehicles because that is the mindset that they have. They have the mindset that for them, that is the easiest way for them to grind through the tech tree, and that's what works for them the best. So if you just removed the premiums, then that obviously wouldn't really solve the thing. They would just find the other thing that they feel like is the most efficient way to do it. The actual efficient way to do it, if everybody played properly, is to spawn as much as possible and try and get as many actions as possible. But that's not going to work because you would have to get everybody to play properly. And as we know, when it comes to War Thunder, it's kind of hard to find even 3 or 4 people in a team that will play properly. So yeah, it is kind of nuts. What happened to the Freeman podcast? How about you ask Freeman? You know, the thing that he's supposed to be setting up. Very fun. So yeah, it may be down to the premiums, but if you just remove the premiums, then it would just be down to something else. The mindset has to change, and it's impossible for the mindset to change. So we have Nech Chow Ho. Sorry, I probably butchered that. Hi, thanks for the content. Hello! Especially love the tech talk since they help me. I'm not going insane while doing something repetitive at work. I know that feeling. At uni, I did some graveyard shifts. Jesus Christ. Read a lot of books. So that's all I'll say. Read a lot of books. Can you please talk about how insane the KV1 has been lately? Recently, I've been spading the Swedish low tier, and they're a menace, since you can't really kill them. They shrug off APHE like it's nothing and heat an APDS either non-pen or do some bull like Yellow, the whole machine gunner, and nothing else. Do you think they warrant an up tier or some other change? Or are they actually fine and I just suck? The KV1s have been very powerful for the longest time, including mainly the B&E. They finally put up the ZIS-5. It only took them putting up everything else in BR to finally put up the ZIS-5. But I was thinking about it earlier. Think about how many times we've had BR decompression for ground. I think 3 or 4 times, right? Of like the last few years. Imagine that they've never moved the KV1 BRE. Now, the KV1 BRE do have a weak spot on the front. It's the lower glacis. But if you're using stuff like heat, it doesn't really do anything because it has no explosive filler in the way that the jet stream works. So that kind of sucks. But if you are using stuff like AP, shoot the low glacis, don't shoot the turret. One of the things that made KV1s go out of control was the addition of volumetric shells. Because now you have to be pinpoint accurate on where you shoot. Oh shit. You have to be pinpoint accurate on where you shoot. And because ping exists, and because movement exists, it's pretty much impossible to do that nowadays. Where before it was a lot easier. So a lot of shots you'll shoot at KVs that should go through and they just don't. And it is one of the most annoying experiences in the world. Like when that happens. So I do fully agree with you that there is problems with the KVs. They need to go up in BR. They just need to. It's not even like a thought. It's not even like something that should even be discussed. At this point, after all of the changes that they've made, it is way past time to be able to put all of these things up. Like it is crazy when you think about the amount of things that have been changed, the amount of things that have been moved around, and they still have stayed stagnant. It is very poor and should be solved. If they don't, then we just live in a miasma where stuff like that just takes over and is just able to annihilate everything, which is not really what you want. You know, it would be much better if that wasn't the case and you had something which was, you know, a little bit more fun than that, which is not always the case. Right, so let's do this. I was just trying to find a special that's easy to do while recording, and this one's pretty easy. There we go. Hey Bruce, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing good. But no, I 100% agree. They should move them up and should have done a long time ago. So then we have Johnny McJohnface. I got to the scimitar about 3 weeks ago, after hearing virtually nothing about it and not seeing anyone play it. It's so much fun, I love it. I've had 6-7 kill games with it, which is insane for me. Yeah, it's really fun. The scimitar is really fun. You know, I think honestly it's the fastest vehicle at its BR. I don't think there's anything that's faster than it, which is just crazy. Like it's a super quick vehicle. Like it's insanely quick around the place. And also at the same time, it's a vehicle that is just really fun to play. Because it has the missiles. You get stock missiles now. You get 2 stock missiles, so you can set up kills. And you've also got really good guns. The only thing the Simi is bad at is high speed turning. Which, you know, since you're faster than everything else, apart from maybe other British vehicles, which will be on your team, it's really easy to control the game. Like, it's a super fun vehicle. I don't know why more people aren't interested in it. It's probably because of the meme that British jets are just bad. There's actually a ton of British jets which are really, really good. They just, once again, just like, you know, like French ground, they don't have the same playstyles as, you know, the standard things which are good. So you have to at least use your brain while using it. But if you do, you can have a great time. And it's just really fun. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. I really am. So then we have the Pen Man. The Pen Man. Hey TEC. Hello. Hello. I hope I find you in good health. Yeah. I'm doing good actually. You know, my back was a bit screwed last week, but it's a lot better now. I can actually get up out of a chair instead of sometimes, I don't know if some of you have done it, but sometimes you have to like press down with the shoulders to get yourself up. I had to do that for like a couple of days while my lower back kind of relaxed, but now it's better and it's a lot better, which is really good. So super happy about that, and hopefully it will, you know, stay that way. I've always had issues with my lower back just being an ass, so yeah, the MX-30B2 as well, right? But yeah, I'm feeling good. I recently have been using the ACT-28B to grind out the MiG-27M to get that 10% RP bonus, and one problem that I have run into that seriously pisses me off is payload inconsistency. With the stock load, the Fab 100's 303 TNT equivalent can take out half a base. With a load of 4250s, I can once again only take out half a base, even though the total is well over 600. With the load of 2 Fab 500s, I can only take out 2/5 of the base. And the one that pisses me off the most, the 3000 with 1400 kg TNT, can only take out 3/4 of a base. This is annoying, as it means that the ACT-28B, while having a good payload, gets screwed over by Gaijin, leading it to not being able to destroy a base in one run, which in my opinion every single level bomber should have the capability to do. I would like to hear your take on this and what issues might arise if the system is changed to have a set TNT value to destroy a base instead of more bombs equals more damage. Also, what's your thoughts on a new mechanic to set custom bomb series so that you can drop any amount of bombs without the spacebar ban instead of being limited to 4-6, 16, 24 and so on. I wouldn't class it as a new mechanic, but yeah, I'll be fine with it. If they added a I would be fine if they added more options to that stuff. Like, so kind of like the fuel slider stuff again, right? So just give the player more onus on what they're playing. I think that's very important. Then the other part, so the inconsistency thing. There is something in War Thunder, and I've noticed it for years, and I don't know how to describe it, but if you drop bombs with periods of time between them, they seem to do more damage than if you drop them all in a cluster. Does that make sense? So if you put even like a half a second delay between the bombs, they seem to do more damage than if you clump them all up in a single setup. And I don't know whether it's an issue with how the game reads these things, or if it's an issue with how the game sees a lot of this stuff. But it's something I've noticed with, you know, specific vehicles. Like, I used to notice it with the Votor sometimes, where if I dropped all the things when I was supposed to, what would end up happening is they just wouldn't all go off, or they would go off, but it was as if like some went off at the same time, then they just didn't do any damage. It was really odd. I don't know what caused it. It's really annoying, and I'm hoping that in the future, like, that is addressed, because, as I said, I don't really know how to put it. The idea of every level bomber being able to drop a base, I mean, maybe, but I don't know how you would balance that. You'd have to change the BRs of the vehicles based around that, and then what you'd have is a vehicle like the Act 28 being a lot lower BR than it is, so nothing would be able to kill it. I think it's generally fine vehicles having like kind of not being able to fell different stuff. The Act 28 is specifically one which is in a really awkward place as a vehicle because of the bomb load it has, but I don't know how you would attempt to even fix it. Like, when I ground it out, I had a very similar experience where I was like, well, what the hell do I use this thing for? Like, what's the point in it, right? And I don't think I could use it after I spaded it, because it was just such an awkward vehicle. But then let's say you make it so a vehicle like that can fell a base in one hit. Now imagine if you have like an Aardvark on your team, or if you have an F-105, or any other vehicle like a Phantom, which just has a metric ton of bombs. They're just going to be able to destroy like 20 bases. It's crazy to think about, right? And it's that constant issue in the game of balancing vehicles via loadout. And it's why I honestly think it would be better for vehicles like that if they had access to things which made them a little bit like change in BR based around the modifications they have access to. So lower BRs, they would have easier bases to destroy when they don't have access to as good bomb loads. But yeah, it's just, I don't know how you would address that issue apart from that, really. I don't know what else you'd be able to do. So now we have LeFlavius. Is it, in your opinion, acceptable to straight up leave a match without spawning if you see it as a +1 up tier? No, I don't think so. Because, like, right, okay, let's get this out here. When it comes to questions like this, I'm talking from my personal opinion, so what I would do, right? I think when I spawn into a battle, and if I'm in a full up tier, I understand quantitative matchmaking, right? So I understand that the vast majority of the enemy team might not be at my BR, but they're also not going to be 1.0 away from me. Now, if people want to, what's the word? If people want to leave a battle like that because of that, I have no qualms with them, you know. If they want to do that, that's fine, I don't mind. But for me personally, I wouldn't, because I feel like I'm letting down the team. Because I know, at least for me, that if I work really hard and do okay, I can be a big benefit to the team, especially if, you know, one of their team leaves because they're in a full up tier. It's 25% tug nuts, that's pretty much how it goes. So in like a 16v16, it's 4, right? But it also doesn't mean that your team will have 25% of the top tier. It just means that at max, either team can have 25%. So you could have no vehicles at a BR 1.0, like, above you. But no, for me, it would mean that I just wouldn't be able to play a lot of matches. And also at the same time, I can be a benefit to the team as a person who is even, you know, fully downed, or fully up to, sorry. I honestly feel like in a lot of ways, there are playstyles which you can try, which work well in down tiers and not up tiers. You know, the whole idea of being a little bit more passive and, you know, scouting a little bit more, and certain vehicles work better in different environments. Like most heavy tanks work very well in down tiers, but don't really work well in up tiers, where most scouts are a little bit more flexible, so you can kind of move around the place. But as I said, I know that for me, I could have enough of a impact on the battle for it not to be like a huge issue. My major issue is when you have people who are in full down tiers and you realize that they don't have the family brain cell that day, and that more infuriates me, because, you know, they have so much of an impact on the battle. But if other people want to leave the games, like, go ahead. You know, I understand many people believe they're in unfair matches. You know, they don't want to play them because, you know, they don't just want to get hammered, and that's okay. But for me, especially since I do like content and things like that, I think it's important for me to experience the game in its most natural setting. And in its most natural setting, that's playing every game as you should, trying to play every game to the best of its ability to try and get what is seen as the most average perspective, right? So if I just turn up and only play the things that I am going to do well in, it's going to give me a very weird look at what the game actually does, right? So yeah, for other people, I'm not really bothered. You know, people should have the experience that they're experienced. For me, I would never do it because I do see it as a pretty selfish act at the end of the day. So we have Connor Abrams. Good old Roman Abramovich. What do you think the future of top tier ground will look like? We all know the super modern vehicles are coming, but what do you think will be done to balance them? The US has the latest SEP variants, Germany has the Panther, Russia has the T14, etc. Well, the Panther was only announced last year, so I think you're going to have to wait at least a few years for it to be in the game. None of them bring any new mechanics into the game. So you just balance them exactly the same way as you balance everything else. The Armata is set up exactly like the 2S38s, if you didn't notice. The Abrams is just literally another Abrams. The KF-41 once again set up very similarly to the Puma with everybody in the hull. So yeah, it's the vehicles offer nothing different to what we've already seen. So because that is the case, I don't see there being issues with balance. because they're not going to show a different playstyle or game style. The only thing maybe like APSs, maybe that we'll bring in, but we also have those in the game too. So I don't know. Like I don't think they bring any new rounds or anything like that. And what I mean by new rounds is I mean like new mechanics for rounds. So they obviously have like better APFSDS, 80 gems, HUVT, like all of that stuff, but I don't think they bring anything that's really crazy on the table. You still shoot the Armata the same place you shoot all of the other Soviet tanks, right? So the only thing that would be that would change the way that all of this stuff works is if they're able to tank a shot. And I don't mean like tank a shot through like silly fuel tank stuff or tank a shot through that. I mean if they could just absorb a shell before having to deal with another shell. So if they had like a force field, for example, like the APS, but if it actually stopped rounds which weren't just, missiles and stuff like that, like they would have to stop like the APFSDS stuff. So yeah, that to me, I don't think it will change anything. I think when it comes to War Thunder, the things that have changed the most over the last little bit, and still have the most to change at top tier ground, is the aviation. Like, think about how many mechanics they've added for aviation the last like little bit. So you have the you have, of course, the guided bombs, which are now prevalent everywhere. You have the targeting pods. You have the fire and forget missiles. You have now the fire and forget missiles coming in for helicopters, which once those things are added to the American and USSR stuff, you better kiss yourself goodbye. And you even have more stuff, like when they finally add in the stuff like the seed stuff, not the Shrikes, but the ones after it. I can't remember the name of them. Those things are much more crazy. Thank you, Sardex. That's very kind of you, man. So, yeah, those things I think are much more going to be game-changing than the ground stuff. Because all the vehicles from the ground point of view, unless they, like, give them insane armor, or give them, harms, the AGM-88. If they give them insane armor, or if they give them an insane shell, and they're able to tank shells, or if... Imagine, right? How about this, right? Imagine they had an Abrams, but it had 1,000mm breach. That would change how people play the game. But since armor is one of those things which is all over the place, and obviously most of it, the actual values are classified, they could just make it up and make it balanced. So I don't think MBT ground vehicles shape the way that people play. Apart from when there's a new one, people want to grind it out. After that, they play all the same. The only difference would be mobility, and as we know, with the Soviets, the T-80 is the most mobile thing. There was the leak of the T-80 BVM 2023, right? Which gives it a better reverse gear and more chemical protection. So, yeah, crazy. The Abrams would have probably the same mobility, if not worse, because it's heavier. And the Armata, it's based on the T-90, right? Or similar to the T-90, so good luck not being able to reverse again. They finally realized, after having to deal in urbanized combat and also other areas of combat, finally reversing is quite a nice idea. Having to turn away from an enemy and expose your weakest armor is not great. Who could have thunk, Who could have thunk it? Not me. Crazy. So yeah, fun times. I heard from an Abrams tanker that the Abrams turret ring is equal to 800. Well, that's great. There's no reason for an Abrams tanker to know that. That's the interesting thing, right? So the if you actually have a look at the amount of people who know the true values of things, it's a very small amount of people. I remember when this was discussed, basically when Advancing Storm came out, my brain just frazzled because I had to deal with a bunch of people who believed that they knew what they were talking about, and they just didn't. People who they would say, I know what the Leopard 2A4's armor is, or I know what the Leopard 2A5's armor is. Oh, how do you know? Here's a picture of it. Okay, not so, but and a bunch of them were tech moderators, like, you know, technical moderators. Fun times that. Love me some what do they call them? Third grade sources. Yes, great. So basically, what ended up happening is I did like a huge deep dive into who actually knows these things. Who actually knows the who actually knows the values of this stuff? Because a standard tanker doesn't need to know how much armor is on an Abrams. It doesn't matter to them, right? So I think I remember somebody like a long time ago basically told me that it was like one person per whole brigade which knew the basic armor stats, just so if they ran into a specific issue or ran into a specific weapon, they knew how to deal with it. So it's a tiny amount of people who actually know these things. So your average bog standard person is not going to know the percentages of different materials used in the armor, and also not going to know its overall effectiveness, because there's no need for them to know, so they're not told, right? But for some reason they all seem to know it. The reload thing is different though. The reload thing, because it's a manual reload, it's just a balance thing in game. Like, reloads have been used for balance for a long time, you know? So yeah, it's just a really weird conversation. And I knew then in Advancing Storm, like, when did Advancing Storm come out? I'm pretty sure it was 2017. 2018. March 2018. March 2018 was when my soul died. Because even then, 5 years ago, I knew I would have to deal with these conversations, or similar conversations, for many years to come. And I honestly believe, saying basically the same things over and over again, I've lost at least a decade of my life. Not through stress or anything like that, but just from boredom. Alright, so we have the next one. We have 10957558. First of all, thanks for answering my question. Always. That's what we're here for, having a chat. That's what's fun about these things. Sit here and have a bit of a giggle, you know? Right. And then, secondly, which tech tree would you put the Polish vehicles in? Poland uses so huge variety of vehicles from different countries on modifications, and all of them makes it hard to add to another tech tree. Well, in the modern day, they use a lot of vehicles from different countries. That has definitely not been what it is in the past. So in the modern day, I agree with you. Every other period of history, definitely not. If I get some time, I'll make a post on the forum about it. And you can't play the lineups like I mentioned before in the German tech tree. They don't have the M1, the F-16 so far. Well, that's the key thing, the so far thing, right? But as I said, like, the nations are not just what they can get at top tier. The place where you put the Polish vehicles in is exactly what they've already done. You stick them in as event vehicles or premiums. So then you can add them to every tree, which is where they can be. Now, people won't be happy with that because they have to grind out specific ones, or they want to grind out specific ones. So what you do is you add in 1 or 2 or 3 separate vehicles which are in separate tech trees, which are of the Polish insignia. So ones which Poland uses. So therefore you make everybody happy. The only people you don't make happy are the people who want an independent Polish tech tree, but luckily that's very much a minority of people. So it's okay to annoy a minority like that, in favor of the majority, which is what's happening. So that's basically how it is, you know. So they just, if you are forced though, let's say that under gunpoint, you are forced to put the Polish tech tree into another nation, I would probably add it to Germany for the memes. But if we're being serious about it, um, if we're being serious about it, I would probably add it to France. Because I know it makes absolutely no sense to put it into France, but it also makes absolutely no sense as a subtree. So I would want to add it to the nation which would require it the most. And since Poland, whenever it's brought up, the basic thing that most people talk about is its modern day arsenal, which is pretty much every MBT from every nation, this would massively bolster the areas that France need bolstering, which is their rank 6, 7 area, which will eventually be the rank 8 area. So, yeah. I would pick France in order to try and make it easier for people to play. When people ask, well, what is the connection? I would say that a French person once visited Poland, and that will do. So we have Thunderclips. Hey Tech, hello. When should we start seeing the devlogs for the Christmas update? I don't know. I don't know, man. I got no idea. Let's see. Let's take a trip down memory lane. I've been doing that a lot recently. Maybe I'm dying. Who knows? Maybe this is it. Maybe we're done. That's why I've been reminiscing so much the last year. I might just be dying. Let's see. Maybe my body is trying to tell me something. Yada dee, yada doo, yada da, yada da. Just noticed the shirt. Oh, this is one of my workout shirts. It has a ton of holes in it. Yeah, see. It's fun. It's got a huge hole in the back as well. I couldn't be bothered to change today. I'm going to be brutally honest. Right, let's see. Disgusting. Hey, Holy Rune, nice to see you, man. Woo. Right. The first deadblock. Wait, what? What is happening? Where did you come from? The first deblog for the December update last year was the 29th of November. And the last deblog was like the week before Christmas. So yeah. There you go. End of November. I feel like it's a bit early to be talking about devlog stuff though. Because my god, I feel like it's been these 3 months have just been crazy. Like it's been nuts. Oh, I know, Uhtred. I know. It loves it. I'm actually sat on a towel, surprisingly enough. It's to sop it all up for now. I washed this chair the other day as well. Sad. So I have Cute Poison EU. Can you explain how the marketplace skins work? Do I assume correctly that unless the camo is tagged as historical, it will not show up in other players in games? Yes. So there's an option. Does anybody know where it is? Customization of vehicles. Okay. So yeah, I'll just shut this off for now. So in this option, in if you go to options and then main and then customization of vehicles, you have this here. So this is where you can show on your end what you see. So you have any or except fictional, right? So this is the stuff that it doesn't show, right? So allowed types of content: decals, camouflages, detachables, show on other players' vehicles on battle. So basically, this shows anything that is fictional and nothing. Everything that is non-fictional. So I don't. So this means that I don't see like semi-historical stuff or fake stuff or any of the crazy, like decorations that people have. So that's where you change it basically. That's where that option is. So you can either have all or only historical stuff. Now I can't remember where semi-historical stuff actually sits in that. But that's how that goes. I can't remember which side it sits on. That's pretty much it though. Second question: would you be willing to share whether these sale periods are actually better in total revenue for you as a CC? I assume there is an increase in purchases. I just had 2 packs on you, but not sure if the 50% total cost then compensates. Not interested in any hard numbers, more the ebb and flow of the bottom line, if you will. Sure, so the discount is 3%. I get the revenue from the discount. So for example, let's say something costs $10 and you get the discount for it of 3%, which is what, 30 cents? I also get that revenue. So technically Gaijin loses 60% on this 6% on the sale. So that's how that number works. There is, of course, more people using the links, or the link, I should say, during sales. I haven't looked at the numbers specifically recently, but usually around updates, with the pre-order stuff, and also mainly the sales is where most of the revenue comes in on that link. So it around... so I think it's April and June. I mean, I could have a look actually. Like, I think usually the amount of revenue is about 4 times as much, if not more, during sale seasons compared to any other point. So it's definitely ebbs and flows during the year. January, February, it's pretty much zero. March or February, when you get the first update, there's a little bit. The sales in the mid, and then November and December are the 2 large months. So it ebbs quite a lot. I don't know what I'm doing. I need to move back. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It definitely is beneficial to use the link because obviously, I do get a percentage of the sales. It has actually been really nice over the last little bit. It hasn't been a huge amount, but what it has meant is what I can do is I can put it towards basically all the money that is generated through Twitch and also through the revenue share program thing right now is all put towards whether it is like giveaways or whether it is buying parts for the PC, whether it's buying like extra storage, trying to improve the experience of people more. So the more that is, obviously, the more I can put towards investing in the setup itself. The YouTube stuff goes towards basically a savings account, a TFSA, which is a tax-free savings account. So that all goes into there, and that is to be used for large projects in the future that we're planning on, or used for basically extra stuff if the missus wants something in the future. And then everything else, once again, is used to set up certain things that I do. So for example, like, let's say there's like a... how do I put this? I have a standard life. I know it may not seem it because of the amount of stuff that I do on YouTube, but I have a standard life. I have a missus, I have a family, I have my full-time job, I have all of this stuff going on. Now, one of the things that is talked about a lot is people don't understand how I can do everything. And the basic reason why I can do everything is because I have a very gracious missus. And at the same time, I have a very flexible family unit, which if I don't turn up to stuff or if I don't go to certain things, they get sad and they don't they're not happy that I'm not there, but also at the same time they understand because it's setting up stuff for later in life. So so yeah, they get it is probably the way to put it. Um, and I am surrounded by people who are very courteous in that way. This means that there are certain times, whether it be like dev servers, whether it be like Twitch drop stuff, whether it be even like Christmas, for example, where there will be times during like standard holidays where I'll be working, which is this stuff, instead of doing, the standard family things. And over the last few years, the balance has been more balanced, but previously, before then, it was very much put in favor of, the online stuff to try and, have a bit of fun with it. And what has happened now is the way that I set everything up, because obviously the family wants to do more things, the missus wants to do more things since we're now more in a stable position compared to before. It now means that I have to also sacrifice stuff as well as them sacrificing stuff. So what tends to happen is that money goes towards certain experiences that I can enjoy with the missus, so therefore I can relax and she can relax and all of that stuff, right? So for example, in we have a budget of $200 a month, which is used, so $100 per person, which is used to go and do things together, which are out of the norm, and part of the revenue from YouTube is put towards that because of how much time I put into this. So you guys get what you want, the missus gets what she wants, and the family gets what they want. And the only, I suppose, negative in it is I have to put in a lot of effort to get everything done and also do the extra stuff. Now, the thing is, at the moment, I'm completely fine with doing that, and I will consistently do that going forward. So you don't have to worry about that. The only issue is if I keel over, but that'll happen anyway. So that is how it's all set up. Now, for example, we're going to see like a quartet setup. In a Christmas, we're also going to go see a musical. Things that I enjoy and things that, are fun to do, but also I know like the missus will do. And for example, we went to go see Taylor Swift The Experience, a thing that I detested. But once again, it's all about balancing these things. So by doing that, it means that I was able to do all the dev server stuff. And I was able to, get it all done and kind of push forward with it. So it's all about like trying to balance all of these things out while doing everything else, right? And, I've been pretty effective at doing it the last little bit. It's not the easiest thing in the world, and it does cause sometimes a lot of mental stress. But I'm kitted out to do it. Like I'm not worried about it failing or me failing, because everything is in the black and everything is going well and everybody seems to be okay with the arrangement. But all I'll say is, imagine I'm very fortunate to be in the situation I am, where I have an incredibly understanding family, where they understand that I want to be kind of like finished with life when I'm like 50 odd. I want to just go and retire and just enjoy stuff, live off savings and also investments, and I'll be happy with that. And they're okay with me doing all the stuff that I do now to get to that point, even if it hurts me physically or sometimes mentally. So that's what we're doing. So yeah, to answer the question, there is an ebb and flow to these things. It isn't just the same every month. It's definitely affected buy stuff, such as sales and also updates. But yeah, that it. So yeah, simple as. When do you think I'll last stream? I will stream for as long as I can. The only thing that affects whether I'm able to stream is if there are personal stuff that take priority. Because streaming when it comes to Twitch is technically on the lowest priority for all of the stuff that I do, because it's the one that takes the most time and also has the least amount of financial benefits, even though for me it's something I look forward to a lot when I come home. So, like from work or, from doing stuff. So, it's very mentally beneficial, but not fiscally beneficial. So, yeah. I will stream for many years to come. There is no reason for me to stop, and it is positive to do so. So don't worry about that. Not going to disappear anywhere. So then we have Dark Nut. With the unique vehicles being in the Gaijin market, are they technically NFTs for War Thunder? Thanks for the great content over the years. Or non-fungible tokens. Well, technically, everything in War Thunder is an NFT. Because you don't own any of it. And it's a digital item. It's, I could say a bunch of fun words over and over and over again. Like a lot of these NFT bros and good old scammers will say over and over again. But yeah, it's technically everything you see in War Thunder is a mirage, right? Because they can, if you have a look at the ULA and the TOS, they could just buy, thanks. The reason why I wouldn't class it as an NFT is because technically you can't actually sell it for real money unless you want to go down the route of seeing, real accounts, or unless you want to technically see, if you want to see like accounts being sold as a money thing, but once again, you're technically not allowed to do that, so yeah. I see the market stuff more as a waste of money a lot of the time, and it seems like a lot of people are also seeing it as more of a waste of money, because of the fact that you see what you see, right? So there's a lot of people now. There's the TOG. Nice. Did you know there's a TOG loading screen, by the way? I don't know where it is, or if they added it. Did they add it? No, still not there. There was the sub one though that they put in. Yeah, I don't see them. I don't see them as the same. As a Battle of the Atlantic, maybe. Yeah, there you go. This one's cool. You get this by doing the naval event. It's nice, isn't it? But yeah, there's a TOG loading screen, but I don't know how you get access to it. It's weird. Right, next one. So we have Corey Cooper. Let's see what he says. One spawners. I'm empathetic to the strategy as it's really luring in some ways people are forced with the premium. Others is when you want to mod vehicles. Most of the time it ends up easier to bring just that vehicle. The other problem with the game, it's so good at being consistent, at being inconsistent, with all random BS spread across the game. Gaijin really needs to up their game on mechanic refinement and gameplay refinement and start looking at the smaller issues spread across the game modes. Sure. I mean, you can't disagree with any of that because it's all what we class as pluralities, or as Alex said, we are here for all the good and we are not here for all the bad. So yes, it's very true. It would be nice to see the game fully fixed in whatever way. It's empty words at the end of the day. Gaijin should fix the game. Gaijin should balance the game. Why can't Gaijin make the game better? Right? It's not really that useful to the conversation. But the other thing as well is a lot of the inconsistency comes down to factors that Gaijin really can't change. So people's internet connections, I suppose they could expand the servers across the place. That would be kind of cool to see. And then also the other thing they could do, or the other thing that happens is obviously the fact that there's not really a proper any skill matchmaking system or anything like that. So you just have people just doing weird stuff all the time, and you can't really do anything about it. But yeah, I'm sure it'll improve over time. That's the stuff to look for. So then we have the guilty. Da-da-da. Hi Tech. Hi. I tried to make this one shorter than the last one. I just watched your mechanics past the devs video and had another idea for past event vehicles. How about adding random old event vehicles as options to future major crafting events and star events? Like if you don't like any of the new top rewards, you could get one of the old ones instead. Gaijin could choose one optional old vehicle for every category, naval, air and ground, from the pool. For example, in the last event, if you didn't like the top rewards, you could get the PT-16 T-14, F5A or HMS Mohawk instead from the 2021 Fall Craft event. I agree. I think they should have done it a long time ago. Nice to see you, Oradis. But the problem is they tried that. And then they removed it. We talked about it actually in a video, well, technically not today, but yesterday, since this is going to be up on Monday. The worst event, right? And I mentioned the IS-7 event. In the IS-7 event and the good old summer event, they actually added in systems where you could trade older vehicles. Trade newer vehicles for older ones. Now, according to Gaijin, they didn't add that feature in or back because nobody used the feature, and therefore there was no use for it. Now, I don't believe them, because I think what they're doing is they're doing a war with words again. If you actually have a look at the T-34 event, the reason why most people didn't use the training system in that one is because you could either get the T-34E or you could get the IS-7. So most people didn't go for the T-34E. They just went for the IS-7, right? So the idea that people didn't use it because of that factor, I must disagree with. It's because you put a just better vehicle or a nicer vehicle at a nicer BR than it. So of course people are just going to play that one. They also did bring it back for the good old summer event though, which was the FJ4B event, and according to them nobody used the feature, so they discontinued it. My opinion is even if nobody uses the feature, it still should exist. It's a feature that makes sense in the game. It's a feature that should it's a feature that should happen because it is only fair to people who have missed those old events so they can get vehicles back. You know, people who have never ever even had a chance of picking up those types of vehicles, they should have a chance to be able to get access to them. And since that feature was put in 4 or 5 years ago and has never been seen since, it might be time for a retrial. Maybe they could put it in only for console players if they want people to use the market. But the feature should exist just because there are a ton of people now who just cannot get access to stuff which is just not available in any other way. Not even on the market. You know? It would only be fair. If it isn't, then what you're gonna do? There's not a ton you can do about it. But I agree. They should bring it back. So we have, let's see. The Type 10. Hey Tech, hello. I've been grinding my 8.0 to 9.0 area of Japan. Have any idea when the Type 74G is going to come back? Last time I completely missed it last time. I wonder if they can add the V22 Osprey, not sure if it carries weapons. I think it does. Got a nuke in my Type 87 RCV somehow by being sneaky and taking points. Have a nice day. The Type 87s are super fun. I really like them. Big fan. I think they're incredibly fun to play. I honestly think that they'll bring that back as a GE vehicle. Because they've done it with so many others, like the Z19, right? They just brought back the Z19 as a GE vehicle. There's no reason why they won't bring those back, but I think what they'll do is they'll bring in rank 8, and then they'll bring them back as rank 6 GE vehicles. I think that's what will happen. So it may take like half a year, or may take a year or two, but there's no reason why they won't bring it back. The other thing as well is the Osprey. I'm sorry, I don't know a lot about the Osprey. I'm sure it's a cool vehicle. I just don't know really anything about it. The good old Osprey. I'm sure there'll be many people who, you know, have played it and have enjoyed it, but unfortunately I'm not the one of them. Why are the Strellas at these BRs, man? Jesus. Whoever thought this was a good idea. Hey Polska, nice C2 Centaurex. But well done in the Type 87. Keep it up. That area of Japan's really fun. A lot of cool vehicles. Then we have Warhog. War Thunder hasn't posted their usual fair play report to the forums in several months now. It makes people wonder if individuals are actually being banned or not. I think the people who only think people are banned when... Well, actually, I think they actually did post one more recently, but... I honestly think if people think nobody is getting banned because they didn't post a list of people that are being banned, are idiots and shouldn't be catered to. Just because things are not pushed in your face and shown to you doesn't mean they're not happening. This is kind of a tale as old as time. I don't like and have never liked the fact that they post these things, because I understand that people go, oh, well, that's awesome. Like, thank you. It shows that my reports are doing something. You also get the opposite, which is where a bunch of people will just literally do it for clout. And I know, okay, listen to me. All right, just listen, just for 2 seconds. Because you're going to say, why would anybody cheat for clout? There are people like on TikTok, and there are people who do YouTube shorts, or even just create whole squadrons, which are around team killing people. There was a short I saw the other day where it was just a guy who had said that he'd accidentally spawned on the other airfield, the enemy airfield, and he just started missiling people. But all the guy had done is he changed the name color of the enemy team to be the same as the allied team. So he didn't even bother switching the colors. He was this dumb, right? Like, literally all he did was he went to battle interface and, not battle interface, where is it? Is it this one? Yeah, so he went here and just made these the same color. And then was like, oh, I spawned on the enemy airfield. Better kill them. And then he started killing them. He didn't even go to the effort of changing the other team's nameplate color to the other one so it looked like he spawned on the other airfield. Right? Yeah, Papa Stalin literally just found it, like, straight away. Yeah, I can show you it. Hopefully it doesn't have stupid music. But then again, it's a short, so I'm sure it will. Like, yeah, and it's still up, by the way. Are you gonna work for me, or are you gonna break? I love YouTube shorts. Come on. Yeah, of course, it has music. Can I mute this? Yes, okay. Alright, so let's go big head, or not big head, but slightly bigger head. So, look at this, right? So, this guy says, I spawned on the wrong airfield. And this happened. So he literally just takes off and just missiles everybody. But look, it literally says friendly fire here. Oh my god. It literally says friendly fire, and he didn't even bother changing the color of the other side. If you wanted to do this properly, you know what you'd do? You would change the text of what a destroyed vehicle looked like, and you'd also change the color of the other side. It even says apologize to allies. He didn't even cut it out. He didn't even bother, right? Okay? So this person has made this, right? They made that video with the knowledge of what they were doing, knowing that they would get banned for YouTube clout. Right? And he tried to mask it in one of the dumbest ways possible, which might even be a psyop, by the way, because he might have changed it in a way to make it look like he was dumb when he's not in fact dumb. Right? And knows exactly what he's doing. So in a situation like that, where you have somebody doing that, I know for a fact that there will be people who have like certain names, or have like certain like they'll have certain names, and they will look for their names when their accounts get banned for cheating, and then they'll just create another alt account, they'll do it again, and then just keep doing it because they're doing it for this weird screwed up reason where they think when they see their name, it's like, oh, look, they've noticed me. Hi, I'm over here, yeah? So it works both ways, which is why when I think about the way that these things go and how Gaijin deals with it, or how any company deals with these things, I really disagree with publicizing the names. I really disagree with all of that stuff. I think it's much better to just do it all silently. And if people don't believe that you're doing it, screw them. They're dumb. Like they have a fundamental misunderstanding on how things work. Right? Because there are still people to this day, like, I don't remember when they made that article, like, about the cheating and how they're trying to solve it. There are still people to this day who think Gaijin benefits from cheaters being in the game. Because, oh, they buy premiums. Even though they use fucking false fucking credit cards or chargebacks. Okay? So, yeah. That's just how this goes, okay? People literally do this stuff for clout, and you don't want to give them any attention. Same reason why if you talk to like any psychologists, they say when it comes to like if you're like discussing like a serial killer or a person who is a murder suspect or an individual who's been on the news because there's like an active shooting or whatever, they always turn around and go, do not name them, please, because you are giving in to what they want, which is clout, right? Think about like the guy who shot up the New Zealand church. He live streamed it and he literally said stuff like subscribe to PewDiePie. Because he knew, not because of that's what he like felt like, that's what he truly believed in. If you read like his manifesto and all that stuff, it was literally because he was a psycho and he wanted to create noise. And that's exactly what he did. And that's all that people talked about. To a point where people started blaming PewDiePie for this guy shooting up a church. Because morons are morons. Okay? Sometimes it's okay to just turn around and go, no, you're too stupid for this conversation. Here's the literature you need to read. When you read it, come back to me. That's okay. Especially when it comes to War Thunder and cheating. Right? Because it's happened so many times. If you cannot see something in front of your eyes in like the most obvious specific way, you are not worth discussing these things. It's the same shit that happens in every game. Okay? So yeah, simple as. So then we have username, I guess. A classic one. Sad times for South African aviation. But what about the ground vehicles that could be added, like the Badger or the Roycat Spiam or Spam? And now they're removing the Royvalk, so now I can't get it. These are really sad times. They'll probably bring back the Royvalk for GE, like with the G-Links. I don't know why they're removing the Royvalk. It seems kind of rude. Maybe, I mean, they might add another variant of it. That would be kind of cool. But yeah, like I don't see why they wouldn't add more South African stuff. They have added more South African stuff over the years since they added the South African subtree. I don't know why they would stop now. It's not like the South African stuff are bad. Like, you know, they're all pretty good. Like, I know there's a lot of players who want, you know, British vehicles to be in the British tree, and they don't really care about anything else, but it's always nice to see more representation of different nations. I feel like going forward, especially with stuff like South Africa and others, you're going to see more and more of it. Maybe we'll see the Rhino. Well, we have the Rhino, but what I mean is the better Rhino. Like, maybe we'll see the Giga Rhino and things like that. But no, it'd be cool. I'm sure we'll see more stuff. Like it'll be nice. It'll be nice to see when they add more things. But there's no reason why they wouldn't add them. It's just they're not going to add them as an independent tree, which I know is something that many people want because of nationalistic tendencies. So we have user BQ5 blah blah blah. We will probably see artillery in the future of ground. See, this would be very, very profitical. I don't know what the word is. This would be very true if you made this statement 10 years ago, but artillery has always been in ground. Not just in the AI version, but also in the standard version. So, yeah, I don't know. You would have been seen as a prophet if you said this in 2012. But nowadays it's not too impressive. The only real question for me is if they ever add smoke artillery. That'd be cool. Maybe one day. What's the Super Rhino called? I think honestly it's just called the G6, but with like a bigger gun. It's like the M19 L52. It's called like G56 L55 or something like that. It'll have like a nickname, they all do, but I just can't remember what it is. But it's basically just the Giga Rhino, you know. It's the one which actually has the record, not the one that we have in game. But yeah, we'll probably see artillery in ground, I agree. Just like we have artillery today. And we have MJ0383, 3 more marks of distinction to get the TOG. Good! Yeah, but hopefully you guys got your TOGs. This day is the last day that you can grind for the TOG, by the way. At least on the stream. This will come out tomorrow on YouTube, so it'll be over. You can GE it though still. So there you go, the G6BG. It'd be funny if it was that. Better if it was the BD though. Biggest Dickus. Let's see actually. I know it has a slightly different name, I just can't remember what it is. Yeah, there you go. G652. I knew it. G652 extended range as a 25 chamber. There you go. It's literally the one they built to break the record. Good damn. Just get him to use protection analysis. I took notes. And show him the difference, you know? Is it bad that I have zero desire to get and play the TOG? No. Not everybody needs to enjoy the same thing. Some people like glory holes. Most people don't. Alright. Next question. Or thoughts. The Roach. Britain desperately needs a 12-0 fighter. I think they should add the African-Moroccan F-16. African-Moroccan F-16. Sure. Why not? I don't know what else to say. Like, there's a Singaporean F-16, which would make more sense. Britain is in the unique position where it could literally get any vehicle that you can think of from the modern day. Yeah? It's one of those nations where literally anything you can think of, it could be in the tree. So don't worry about it. It'll be there. The only question is not... The question is not if, it is when. You could even get a Gripen. I always thought that would be funny if Britain got the Gripen before the Swedish. The problem with Britain is it seems to always get its vehicles like a few updates after everybody else, so it just kind of sits in a sad place, but yeah, it's just how it is. Can't really change much about it. They said that a new British vehicle was coming, so it'll get there, don't worry. You'll get your dream. And I'm sure it will be lackluster, and I'm sure people will complain about it, and then people will forget about it a day after, and then we can talk about whatever American USSR thing's coming the next update. So, time may change, but unfortunately, topics don't. So we have GameSpot week. Are you saying the Javelin is not equal to the MiG-19? How about when they added the Lightning? How about when they added the Phantom? Like, they had the Phantom was allowed to be good for an update. That's all you need, you know. On the sale, I might get the Kafir Canard or whatever the pack is in the Israeli tech tree, purely because I want to grind down another tree, which isn't America, Russia, Britain, Germany, or China, because I already done those. Plus, I love the spine of the F-16D. I mean, fair enough. Why not? The Israeli tech tree is a bit of a roughie. It's definitely not the easiest one to go through. Has its issues. This guy's still alive. Ooh. It's one of those that's really tough to play. Mainly because it gets worse variants of other vehicles in other tech trees and also has really bad matchmaking. Have they finally made it better? Oh yeah, the Kafir Canard wasn't even on sale. Lol. But anyway, the what was the other one that I was thinking? The good morning, Freeman. Why are you awake? The tech tree for Israel is pretty rough, but I suppose now they've put some high-tier stuff in it to make it a bit better. So at least there's that, you know. The crew skill at high BR is tough too. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it definitely is rough. So we have Jerry. In naval, is ammo modeled like ground, where if you take less ammo, then less is modeled? So we can do a test, okay? Because somebody told me no, but I don't believe them. Because it would make no sense today. Am I free today for the podcast, Freeman? Are you kidding me? So, for example, on this one, right? Future planning, Freeman. Future planning. Let's go fly the Northampton. Because it should kind of show on the physical model, right? So let's say... So each of these... There's 1,350 shells, right? So there's 450 shells in the shell room. Then the magazine has 450 in it too. So let's take like 100 shells. So we'll take like 172, or yeah, let's just take 117 203s. Oh, never mind. We will take 135. Yeah, you need to give me a bit more warning, Freeman. Especially since I'm doing the tech talk. So if you have a look at it, it does look like the magazine rooms are full on it. Even with hardly any shells. So I'm guessing that it does matter, or doesn't matter, as much in naval as it does ground. It should do, which is the thing that we should be saying, but I'm not sure if it does or not. I know if you get ammo racked, there's technically no ammo in the area, so you can't get like ammo racked twice. So at least there's that, you know. Yeah, I just need to post something. There we go. Because I've always taken less ammo, but that's just because I'm kind of used to it when it comes to ground stuff. But I don't think it is individually modeled, and it should be. I don't know why it isn't individually modeled. Maybe it's just because of the amount that's involved. But yeah, it kind of sucks if that's the case. So then we have Magnagard. Hi Tech, hello. I play on Xbox. No pack sale sucks. I know Gajiggles wants the dollar, but truly Xbox players are hated by Gaijin for some reason. What do you think about this? Do you believe this puts console players at a disadvantage? Thanks. If they hated you, then a console version wouldn't exist. Pretty much that. The other thing on top of it, as well, is that what's the word? The sales seem to be one of those things that have to be okayed by both parties. And since Xbox gets sales at different time than PC, then you do get the sales, just not at the same time as everybody else. Which is why I think they've been moving towards making vehicles more GE vehicles than packs. So therefore, everybody has access to them instead of just like, you know, PC players or PlayStation players. This idea that Gaijin hates collectively a set of people because they do something such as play the game on a certain, you know, console is very silly and should be eradicated and removed. It's a waste of time. What should happen is the same thing that happens when these things are always discussed when it comes to the market. The party you should actually be talking to is Microsoft. Microsoft is the party which makes these things hard to do. If you think about it from a Gaijin point of view, they are literally losing revenue by not doing it. So of course they would want to do it. So you need to talk to the relevant parties instead of anybody else. Thank you for the subscription, Salty Lemon. Thank you for continuing to support the channel. It's very much appreciated. Thank you very much. And also nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing alright today. Hopefully life is good and you're feeling good. We also have Fisher Broetchen. Just me, or does War Thunder urgently need more game modes? Choices in general. For example, Enduring Confrontation for Air and Ground RB. To me, after 7 years of playing, it just feels like they had so many nice tools, vehicles, but instead of giving a sandbox we can put to good use, they give us full of crap cat litters. The maps and game modes are just a sorry excuse a bunch of drunk students can come up with, blah 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 blah. War Thunder CDK. War Thunder CDK exists. You are obviously in a very bitter mindset. That's okay. It's alright to be negative, but it has to be constructive. The constructive part is to try and make stuff yourself. If you can then work out why certain things are made in certain ways, we can start having honest conversations about these things. There are millions of game modes in War Thunder, you just refuse to play them. There is a bunch of arcade game modes. There is a bunch of realistic game modes. There is a bunch of simulator game modes. There is even PvE game modes. On top of this, they run events pretty much every week when it comes to actually playing different things. They also run pages of history, which changes the way that you play every couple of days. They also have custom games. They also have user missions. You can literally do whatever you want on this engine. But people refuse to because they just turn around and go, why does Gaijin not fix this? I'm mad. This is sad. Maybe take personal responsibility and try and sort it out instead of bitching to the crowd. Because there are many people who go, oh yes, I agree with you, it's really fun. But then you run into people like me who go, how about you do something about it? And you'll get mad at me, and that's okay. I'm fine with being the angry uncle who, like, gets pissed off at younger people just saying stuff like, we need better this. Well, go make it, dickhead. Like that's literally my mindset when it comes to this stuff nowadays. Because I've heard it for years, and I've seen people who have had good ideas, who have had push through, who have created things. Think about the camouflage guys, right? A lot of the guys who do camouflage stuff now for the, like, esports stuff get paid to do it. Why is there two dogs? Why is there two dogs here? Whatever. So, the basic thing is... you need to take a bit of responsibility to try and make it better. And if you don't want to, and if you don't want to do the CDK, if you don't want to get involved in the custom battle community, if you don't want to get involved in learning the tools, you just want things to be better, that's fine. It'll never happen. So just try, if you actually care. Or you can find out the reason why you're in such a negative mindset. Whether it's something within your life that needs to be changed, whether it's something within your personality, or whether it is just you thrive in darkness. Whatever it is, it might be worth looking at. I feel like I've read those comments, the same comments with the same words for years now. It's so weird. No independent thought. Then we have William William Urban Black the Third. That's cool. Tech, I love your videos, but I gotta say the Ritalin ADHD joke didn't really sit well with me very well. I have ADHD and use medications. I can't focus on my education and reach my goals if I don't. And the dripping irony of you making that joke and then talking about how people with autism and Down syndrome are misrepresented. Come on, man. You're poking fun at ADHD and then having a serious talk about other neurodivergences. I just don't get it. I'm a little disappointed, man. You've always come off as a really good dude, so what was all that about? Sure, so jokes are jokes at the end of the day. They do not represent reality, they do not represent real life. When I'm joking, I'm not being serious, right? That's pretty much it. I do take these things very seriously. I have a lot of people who are affected by either mental or physical issues around me, and I do try my best to try and help them, or try and push forward. But also at the same time, there is this thing in Britain which is called gallows humor. Gallows humor is the idea of when you are in a situation which is pretty rough, or at least you see it as pretty rough, right? You make fun of it to make it seem less than what it is, right? It's something that has been around for centuries, and it's something that was very prominent during the First World War when it came to British soldiers. Many British soldiers would be laughing in their trenches while kidding with each other, even while people were dying around them, because it was the way that they got through it.
So the fundamental thing is you have to understand the difference between humor and also serious discussions. If we cannot make fun of stuff, we lose the ability to freely talk about issues. The only issue that may arise is if people take stuff seriously which was supposed to be meant for humor. And that's fine. It can happen, and can happen with a lot of people. And the main way to make sure that that's the case or not the case is by straight up just asking, you know. That's at least the way that I've sorted it out. So I can honestly agree with a topic and also be very much for trying to help it and aid it, and also make fun at the same time. Because that's how we do things from the area where I'm from. It's just how it is. Hey Diomedes, nice to see you, man. Hopefully you're doing alright today. Hopefully life is good. So yeah, it isn't like taking the piss out of people for taking the piss out of people. It is the fact that humor is a key part of life, along with serious discussion. And no matter what I say, when it comes to online stuff, I'm always going to annoy somebody, right? That is a key part to also understand when discussing these things. I could make a joke or even talk seriously about anything, and if that is different to whoever's lived experiences, they will take offense. Offense is taken, not given, in most scenarios. So it is down to the individual who is taking the offense to understand, is it worth taking? Was it meant to be taken? And then go from there. Simple as. Nothing I ever say is meant to be offensive. Unless I say it is meant to be offensive. Because I understand that there are many people who struggle with things when it comes to them being taken literally or metaphorically. And after doing this stuff for about 10 years, I've run into all different sets of people on that scale. And we have Alfred Tierson. Howdy, TEC. Howdy. What's your favorite rank for medium, light, and heavy? I have absolutely no idea. I don't remember things by rank. I'm sure there's a Centurion that's rank 4. So one of the Centurions, they're pretty fun. The Mouse is probably my favorite heavy. I think is at rank 4, but I also think it's at rank 5. But yeah, there's been a ton of stuff, Diomedes, that's come in. The main thing that I've enjoyed is the graphical effects. A lot of really cool ones last update. The light for rank 4, RU251, I think is rank 4. As I said, I don't really work stuff by rank in my head because the ranks change quite a lot. Same with the BRs. But there aren't many lights that I don't enjoy. It's probably the best way of putting it. Standard mediums, you know, stuff like T34s are fun. There's many which are enjoyable. So, yeah. I'd have to, like, really study the tech trees and stuff for that. And to be honest, I don't really feel like it at the end of the day. So then we have Dark Kilo. Play it, have fun, and love all the cheating Chinese that joined and make the game so much better. Also love gauging nothing about them or their bots as they buy premium stuff. You're another person who's in a negative mindset. I hope you find happiness. You know what the funny thing was when I started looking into a lot of the cheating stuff? Because there is, you know, a decent amount out there. A lot of the websites that do offer cheating stuff are Chinese. But you know what I found? A lot of the people who were breaking the rules when it came to War Thunder were actually from Eastern Europe. Like a lot of the high profile guys which sell accounts, or a lot of the guys who are actually heavily involved in the cheating things are from those areas of the world. And what happens a lot of the time is because they understand stereotypes and they understand that, you know, certain groups of people get blamed for certain things, they name themselves in ways that make them look like they're from those areas. So then people, you know, people end up blaming them. Which is why usually blaming collectives for things is a really bad idea. Because it leads to a lot of mischaracterization and leads to a lot of thoughts which are just generally wrong and also easily beatable. Because, you know, for the amount of people who come in who are like that, all you have to do is find 1 or 2 or 3 examples of people who aren't like that, and then it kind of crumbles the point. You know, it sucks, but yeah, makes conversations like this a lot harder to do. And as we talked about previously, Gaijin don't benefit from cheaters buying premiums because they don't use legal methods to buy these things. Simple as. It's they outlined all of this like a month, 2 months ago. And it's stuff that I've been saying for years, but people just didn't believe me because I don't know, because they didn't want to. But when they're saying exactly the same stuff that I've been saying and how all of this stuff is set up how it is, it's kind of hard to like why would they lie about any of this? Because if they're caught lying about it, then they just get eaten alive. So I don't know. We live in a very, very weird place. I never understood cheating. If I cheat, it's not me that's winning, it's the cheat. I'd feel I would not be accomplishing anything and would be a fraud. Yeah, but that's because you're a good human being. But usually people who cheat aren't that. They're people who are looking for ego boosts or believe that everybody else is cheating, therefore they have to cheat, which is one of the biggest lies, you know, in history. Flaming Kitten Gaming. You all hyped for the J39 for Sweden? Not really. The Yas Queen. Am I going to be free today? I'm recording the tech talk for him. I don't know if I'll be free. We'll see. The thing about the Yas, the Gripen, I'm glad I'm gonna be happy when it comes in, so I no longer have to hear about it. And there's a lot of vehicles like that, by the way. Like there's some that get added that I'm generally hyped for. You know, stuff like the TOG, for example. Things like the Churchill Mark 1. You know, even like, you know, interesting vehicles like maybe some of the early Eurofighters, or, you know, stuff. The F-16 I was really hyped for because, you know, it's kind of the next generation of stuff. Things like the MiG-29 was pretty cool. I'm interested how stuff like the guided missile destroyers are going to work when it comes to War Thunder. Like there's a bunch of things that I'm super interested in. The Gripen is just not one of them, because it's just another plane that doesn't really do that much differently, and the things that it has access to will not really change the way that people play it in the game. It was really cool when the Viggen was added because it brought something new and unique. The Gripen doesn't really do that for me. And maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe they add something alongside it to make people more interested in it, to make people enjoy it more. But for me, I just see another Gripen. You know, I just see another top tier aviation vehicle. Like I have no idea what they can give the early models of the Gripen to make it any different to the ones that we already have. Like, so yeah, I don't really see it as that interesting, but I'm sure many other people do, which is, you know, good. So we have Cloud9 Sky 216. We ran into a cheater and a mouse in a game, first one this year for me. Yeah, I ran into one in the terms more recently, and I ran into a few bots using AAs and bombing stuff. Thank you for the subscription, Siege Break. Thank you for continuing to support the channel. It's very much appreciated. Thank you very much. But yeah, like cheaters are about, you know, it's, I think there is definitely more of a demand to find cheaters than there are actual cheaters. But I think that's just a standard human thing. Like, it happens so much. Like, people believing just everyone else is cheating. It's kind of weird. We'll see. Then we have Chris. How's the Mirage Premium Pack for France? This is probably a bit late, but it's fine. Like, there's a problem with France, and the problem is a lot of people undersell how good a lot of their jets are. Like the Mirage 5F, the Mirage 3C, the Mirage 3E, the Mirage 2000s, the Mirage F1C, they're all good vehicles. Like, none of them are bad. It's just people undersell them for some reason. I don't know why. Like, if we talk about competent nations at the toppest tier of the game, France is always in the discussion. And for some reason, people act like it isn't. I just don't get it. Like, I never have. It's a completely fine pack. It works well. So we have Rapunzel. Rapunzel, let down your golden hair. I saw yesterday over 240,000 people online. Poland could be a subtree of Germany and Korea of Japan. I don't care about hurt feelings. I mean, the subtree for Japan makes sense because Japan needs a subtree. Germany doesn't need a subtree. That's why it shouldn't go to Germany. Like, not just... Politics just sits over there. It doesn't matter. Like, politics doesn't matter, right? Not from these types of conversations. But the fact is, Germany doesn't need... Germany doesn't need a subtree. It doesn't need one. None of the major nations need them. Because they already have vehicles at every BR. They already have vehicles all over them. So you need to try and create subtrees for nations that struggle at certain BRs and have gaps, right? So, for example, with Britain, one of the big things was the South Africans coming in and giving them a lot of light vehicles, which is something they didn't have at the time. And also bolstering lineups that also didn't exist. So now they do exist, which is good. The Hungarians bolstered Italy because Italy has a massive amount of holes in its tech tree. For Japan, Korea will do the same thing. Will Poland bolster any of Germany? Nope. No, it won't. Because Germany already has all the things it needs. So, yeah. Then we have Dean. I got up to £700 playing War Thunder. I don't think that's War Thunder's fault. I find it very hard to blame a video game for anything. I'm much more on the end of personal responsibility. I also don't understand how people can get up to that weight if they ever do. I have to eat so much fucking food. Like, when I was 350, right? Like, when I was Big Boy Baracus, like, I was thinking the amount of food that I ate and how much I got through, while also, you know, doing all the work stuff and everything like that. I don't know how anybody eats that amount to get up to that high. Like, because even if you're eating, like, the worst stuff in the world. Ooh, goddamn. Crazy amount. Crazy amount of food. But it's probably not serious. So then we have FFFFC. Hi, thanks for the Iranian video, but you forgot the Kara tank. No, I didn't. Those videos are to showcase a tidbit of what will come to War Thunder. Not everything that will come to War Thunder. The simple fact is that to give you a taster of stuff to look into, and then next year, when things start turning up, we can then do future videos talking specifically about certain vehicles. So it's a taster, it's a starter pack, it's hey, did you know these exist? Huh, might be worth having a look into. You know, giving people ideas of what may come in the future. It's what they're there for, and they do pretty effectively. It's good. It's nice to see, so. Glad people have been enjoying those videos, by the way. They've been nice. Did a Dutch one today. Whoa, my frame rate. The Dutch one was talking about the Dutch one was talking about the other thing. What was it? Well, the Dutch vehicles. But the thing I like about the Dutch vehicles is I can talk about the orange leopard. Because the Dutch, what they did to try and, like, you know how, like, everybody always has these things about, hey, so let's make everybody really enjoy our armed forces, you know. We need to get, recruitment needs to be up. We need to teach people how to kill. So what they did is they spray painted a leopard bright orange. And we're like, hey, look at this cool thing. Yeah, we support the Dutch football team. And they did a bunch of media about it, basically to try and normalize the army to the general public. And it kind of worked. You know, people were like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, the armed forces are nice. Maybe I could send my son to kill people. You know, like stuff like that. So it was really interesting to look at and read about. So we have War Thunder cheating, War Thunder cheat shaming. Oh, I wonder if this person is might be a little bit biased towards things. That's like calling myself Mr. Volumetric. So wait, you basically just brush over botting accounts in the game as well as the cheating issue, though minor is still present. I understand you are a CC, but can't really say much about it. But why the hesitancy towards it? What do you mean? I can say whatever I want. Like, I'm in a position of complete independent thought. I think out of all CCs, I've been the most open about all of these things. I'm one of the only CCs that ever talks about this stuff. I've even called on Gaijin in the past to talk more openly about these things. Because I'm sick of nutcases thinking that they're different to what they actually are. So, to say that I have not been open and talked about these things more, or you want me to talk about them more, I don't even know how I would talk about them more. Like, that's the thing. I've talked about how they exist. I've talked about where they exist. I've said that Gaijin should be more open about discussing this with the community. I didn't like the fact that they weren't open with the community about what was going on and why they were making certain changes they were making. I even went through why all of these changes existed and got a lot of pushback for it. So the idea of turning around and saying you didn't do enough, I disagree massively. Thank you. I don't think War Thunder cheating is a huge, massive issue. I think the things that they did to try and combat the issue didn't work. It just meant that it was a more widespread issue. Because now they tried to balance it through economy and it just pissed off everybody else. Which is not how you deal with these things. But the idea that I haven't been vocal on these issues is completely absurd. So we have Ivan, FPS with RPG elements to staged encounters, and they nerfed Hesh again. FPS with RPG elements leading to staged encounters. I don't think they did nerf Hesh again. Hesh has just always been bad. I don't know how to respond to the first part. But yeah, Hesh has always been terrible. It's just not a very good round. I think it's much better to just use anything else. I always try with the Chieftain with the Hesh. I always give it one go. And it can let me down again and again and again. I should have really taken HE with this belt. I hit that guy 3 times and I didn't kill him. And we have Kiwi Flyer. Do you ever play Sim? Not a huge amount, no. I've done some events in the past which have been pretty fun. I played enough to be able to get all the achievements for it. You know, like kill X amount of people in Sim, or, you know, do all that stuff. But I don't play a ton of it because I think it's a highly abusable system, and I don't really feel like... Okay, so one of the issues I have is the time I play War Thunder is when I play it on stream. So I don't play War Thunder outside of stream unless there's something specific that I have to do. But usually that's not the case, right? Like if I have to like showcase something for a video. But pretty much like 99.999% of the time I play War Thunder is when I'm on stream. Now the problem with doing that is it leaves you open to abuse. And what I mean by this is when people can see when you are queuing, or when people can see when you are when you're going into certain game modes or going into different things, it means that you have, you know, like whether you call it stream sniping or people who just want to play around at the same time, whatever it is, you do not have a natural experience at playing the game. Now, if I play game modes which have a lot less population than others, I get a very, very unnatural experience while playing the game. And it's not very fun. Even playing the standard game modes, like Ground Realistic or Ground Arcade, Air Realistic, Air Arcade, it's a completely unnatural experience. But it is at least more natural than it is playing something which has a very small player base like Sim. So that's basically the reason. It's not because I think Sim's bad or anything like that. It's more down to the fact that I prefer other things, and at the same time, it's just open for abuse for me. It's the same reason why playing stuff like Enlisted just got so tiring. Because after 1 or 2 games, you just got hunted. It just wasn't very fun. So we have Common Sense. People playing Israel like crazy right now. I wonder why all of a sudden. I mean, I haven't really seen that. I saw a few more people playing because of the premium sales. But yeah, I don't think there's a metric ton of people playing Israel. Doof, 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 doof. It is kind of interesting how world events do change how people approach the game, though. I find that very odd, but also I do agree that it happens. Not just on a nationalistic setup, but also on others. It's so weird. Like, I can't think of anything that would happen in the real world to, like, make me... Oh, nice. Make me want to play... Or make me not want to play certain things in a video game. It's so weird. So we have George, you know, the classic one. Pee pee poo poo. Hopefully we can have some better ones. So we have Papa Stalin. Salutations once again. Monet, can you stop being cringe by being French? By the way, the most cringe European nation. As for tech, opinion on people who whine about things that are added before they get added to the other tech trees that can get them. E.g. the F5A for China tech tree before the C&E was added. I get why people are mad when that happens. It's happened a few times, though. I don't, like... Obviously, for me, I think the best way of enjoying War Thunder is by trying everything. So I've never felt personally annoyed that a vehicle has gone to a certain nation and not to another one, because I know I'll get around to it eventually. But I also understand that some people only play certain nations, so I get why they get annoyed with it. The major issue is patience, right? Patience is a virtue. Oscar Wilde, one of my favorite authors, he wrote my favorite book, A Picture of Dorian Gray. One of the lines in it, which is said by kind of the early mentor of Dorian, you know, before everything kicked off, was simple. It was patience is a virtue. And it's very true. There's been a lot of times where I've read stuff or I've seen stuff where if people just waited a week or a few days or anything like that, it would be solved. And all it would take is time. Whether it be like a few updates or, as I said, even just a few days. It's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy that patience is that thing in society which has just died. Because in the oldie days, like, you would be forced to have patience. You didn't have a choice. But nowadays, because of the way that attention span works and because of the way that a lot of people interact with certain products, if one thing isn't holding their attention, they can quick switch to another thing. Or even just do multiple things at once, like we're doing now. With playing, streaming, and doing the YouTube stuff. It's really odd. And it's definitely led to a lot more impatience, which is kind of sad. But what are you going to do about it? You know, it's just how it is. The way to solve it, in my opinion, is to promote people playing multiple nations. Gaijin have tried to do that over the last few months, and with the last thing that hopefully they bring in soon, which is the kind of like bonus RP thing for completing specific nations' vehicles, hopefully they will sort it out. Patience is a virtue is a phrase believed to have originated from the poem Piers Plowman, written in 1360. Yeah, makes sense. It's a pretty simple phrase, but for me that's where I remember it from, because, as I said, it's my favourite book. It's definitely not the origin of it, though. Then we have Holy Rim, which says 1 minute ago. So, my boy was ready on the thing. I should actually say here, so what we're going to do going forward with the Tech Talks is I'm going to release them on Mondays, and I'm going to release them probably about 7 a.m. my time, just so, you know, it comes out at a standard time every week, because I've realized that one of the problems with it is it can be a bit all over the place. Mondays are usually pretty chill days, so, you know, it should be fine. But just to let you know, like, so I like scheduling stuff, I like doing stuff at the same time, and that would be a way to do that. Because it comes out on Sunday, which is fine. The other thing would be to record it on like Fridays or Saturdays and then release them on Sundays. So if people prefer them on Sundays, you know, obviously we could do that. But we'll see what we do. That's the end of the questions, by the way, on the YouTube. Do any of you have any questions on Twitch or any thoughts that you want to go through? Is there anything that that's on the mind that you feel like sharing? Whether it be about the event or be about any of the stuff that's been going on when it comes to War Thunder or Enlisted or anything, because it has been a very busy period. I feel like we haven't had a lot of time just to kind of take some deep breaths and relax, if I'm honest with you. It's been very hectic at the end of the day, so definitely nuts. Is the night battle option a psyop? I've been playing for 4 days of 10-0 plus and I've not got a single one. It's not a psyop, but just like the map rotation filter, in order for you to get what you want, a bunch of other people have to agree with you. And not a ton of people like night battles. The other thing as well is people might not know about it, because as we know, not a ton of people read the literature. And at least from my end, when it comes to the night battle stuff, one of the things that people are not interested in, if I just look at like the standard amount of viewership compared to the standard stuff, there's not a ton of people who are actually interested in the night battle setup. So it might just be the fact that, you know, people don't want to play night battles. The only reason I would like to play night battles is to get those things, right? Like the loading screen and stuff like that, but after those are gone, I definitely just turn it straight off. There's no reason for me to play them otherwise. Oh yeah, when you have stuff which is reliant on other people, like the math rotation filter, like night battles, you finally start realizing that people really don't like these things. Same reason why Voloklamsk got removed. Same reason why Boulogne sur Mer got removed. You know, same reason why you probably won't see night battles for a while. TOG 2 coming to the game was great in whatever form. I agree. Can I ban Monet because he just silenced me for speaking the truth? I do enjoy what we have on Twitch. I like the environment. As I said, it's one of the things I really look forward to doing. I wish I could do it more, I really do. It's just nice to chill and chat about stuff. I don't know. I feel like in the world's seen as very unsociable nowadays. Well, it's nice to have a little pocket, which isn't too bad. In arcade, there are night battles in mid-tier? Well, like proper night battles, or just like those hazy battles? What would it take Gaijin to lower the event grind for scores? Less people to do the events and the market, and also less people buying stuff off the market. Right now, there's a metric ton of people who don't do the events and just wait to buy stuff off the market because there's so many people grinding the events. Like if you have a look at the cost of the stuff on the market, like I was having this idea the other day. I can't actually log into the market for some reason. It won't let me, which sucks. Has anybody else been having this issue? Like for me, it just says no. And here, let's see if I can get it to work. Like the last time I checked, like the SU-25, yeah, the CTCV is still 25 Gaijin. The LOSAT's 28. The SU-25BM is 20. So, and the QN506 is 40, which is still not a ton of money. So, for example, if you wanted all of the vehicles from the summer event, you could pick them up for like $50. Which for a lot of people nowadays, like $50 is like, you know, not a metric ton of time when they're working, especially after inflation and a few other things and pay rises and yada yada yada. You know, like we can get into it, but it's a bit heavy. So like it's just one of those things where is it worth it for people to grind? Not really if they have a proper job, but there is so many people right now who would prefer to grind it and sell the things afterwards. So yeah, it's kind of nuts. You would actually have to work out a way of making the stuff more expensive on the market, which kind of is sad. I have a complaint, still no place to buy the TEC blow-up doll. You have a place to buy socks? Socks are cool. The blow-up doll will be one of those things we do as a last hurrah. I was thinking about it, so when I'm like 60 and I actually just want to retire, which to be honest, if I just do this, when I retire I'll be fine with it. We'll do all that silly things. Like things that people ask for but never actually want and just have a bit of fun with. We'll have a fund, and the fund will be called all of the ideas that people say that they want but don't actually want fund. And I'll just do it all. You know, I'll just I'll just have a bit of fun with it. Since so many using the engine block as extra armor and backing into battle, and I doubt that would be a great tactic in real life. Do you have any opinion on whether something needs to be tried to change that? There's only like 2 vehicles that people do it in, right? The IS-1 and maybe the IS-2 and then the TOG. I don't think any other vehicle's doing that. So no, I don't see it as a huge issue. Like it's a tactic, right? And I think tactics like that are fine. It's actually, I think, the way to go with the TOG, since it goes as backwards, forwards, and so on and so on. The other thing is the turret is, even though they buffed it, it's still pretty weak to shots. But no, I don't see it as a huge issue. We'll see after. Well, the arch is forced to be like that. Like, we'll see if it. We'll see what happens with it going forward. Hey Juan, nice to see you. I don't understand why Gaijin doesn't just fix the game. Neither do I. You know, seems easy. I don't get it either, man. I live in perpetual wonder why these things, these simple things such as fix the game, are just never done. Right, I think we'll call the tech talk here. We'll still stream afterwards, but obviously this is for YouTube. It's been a good one. Nice to get through everything. Thank you all for your comments as always. Always make sure to leave them so we can go through them next time. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I really enjoyed doing this stuff. I think it's been really fun to do it. So peace be with you. See yourself soon. Bye bye.